Man, I can't hear that at all.
You can't hear this?
Discord's cutting that straight
Really?
up.
You can't hear it?
Yeah. It's
People
like
in the chat probably can. Hopefully it's not too obnoxious. Welcome everyone. This is On Just Restart. That over there is my friend Brandon. Once upon a time known as What About Nintendo, now known as What About Nodnar, but really just known as Brandon. And he's my co-host. And tonight we're going to be talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Probably going to be the best-selling game on Switch this year, which probably is saying a lot because there's already a couple that may be exceeding 10 million. Legends Arceus is already past it. Anyway, it's a big deal. We're going to be talking about it. First open world Pokemon game. We got the second trailer. More details there. This is actually going to be sort of a live breakdown of that trailer and the website. We're going to be analyzing it together, frame by frame, word by word, theorizing and speculating and analyzing and putting it together for you right now. I wanted to do a video, but I've actually been away for a bit. Some of you may have noticed we didn't have a podcast last Monday. I was moving a whole bunch of stuff, right? Some of you who've been watching for a while may have noticed that the set has been different for a while. The set will probably change again in a couple months too, because this is more of a purgatory or an in-between phase for the channel. So yeah, I took off for a few days. I was seeing some friends, but I also had to move a whole bunch of stuff. And by the time I came back, because I was U-hauling across the country, I was very, very zapped Saturday afternoon. Yeah. And then when I woke up Saturday, the hangover of all the sort of accrued exhaustion hit me even harder. And I still had things to do. I still had to unpack the truck. So
yes,
I still did record 2 attempts to do this, right? So I had a 35-minute recording analyzing the trailer and the website, but once I went ahead to try and edit it, I saw that the audio of the trailer was overpowering my voice, so it was kind of like not a good analysis at all. It was useless. And then I went ahead and did a recording.
That's why you gotta record your audio in a separate application.
Yeah, I get it. Anyways, it didn't work out, not at all. So here we are, right? I already have to work today. My hair may look wet. I'm sorry. People seem to not like it when my hair is wet. I took a shower after work. After working 11 hours today. So here I am. We're gonna do the show. We would have been on time too. We would have been, but the internet decided to operate at, I want to say 0.5% capacity, but that's a lie. That's an exaggeration. I'll give you an exact number.
It's not too far off, to be honest.
No. 40 divided by...
It was 40 and you were getting what, 0.5 before?
Yeah. If it was 50, it would be at 1% capacity. So we were at, what, 2 or... We were operating at 2 or 3% capacity or something of internet upload speed, which is what you need to stream. So it wasn't good. Anyways, so...
Was not gonna function.
Let me just make this clear. This is a Nintendo podcast. We do every Monday night, usually, hopefully, somewhere around 8 p.m. Eastern time. And yes, we're going to be breaking down the latest Pokemon news, but we're also going to be going into our hopes for a Nintendo Direct that may or may not be happening really soon, and may or may not be announced even sooner. Do I know what's happening? No. There's no wink. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
My uncle from Nintendo told me.
But I have a sneaking suspicion that is not at all backed up by any sort of legitimate inside information whatsoever that we're getting an announcement this week and we're getting a direct next week.
Timelines and things.
It's purely just speculation based off historical precedents and just what makes sense.
Historical data, precedents.
So, we'll see.
Your own brains.
Right. Hence why we choose the wording hopes, because we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe next Monday night, hopefully on the eve of a Nintendo Direct, we'll have the final prediction stream. But yes, tonight it'll be hopes and breaking down that Scarlet and Violet trailer along with the website as well, because there's actually a lot there to discuss. And that's the basic plan for the evening.
Yeah, I was not expecting that, but I guess I should have been, because it is right about the time when they would have normally had a Pokemon Direct for E3. So they're really just sticking with the normal timeline. And if you saw, Xbox, their presentation is also coming on Sunday. the same Sunday they've been doing it for years.
And we
when
got
E3 was a thing.
we got PlayStation stuff, right? The news is coming, right? Like it's everything.
My point is like
happening.
people, even without E3, people are sticking to the E3 timeline.
Right.
You know?
So we still got the Pokemon news as expected. Like it pretty much came out exactly when I expected it to happen. Now, was it a Pokemon Presents? No, it was a trailer.
Yeah.
But let's be fully honest and transparent here. Whenever we get a Presents, the only thing we care about is that trailer for the new Pokemon game. So they just cut out all the fat.
It's 7 minutes long, and 3 minutes of it is a recap of the entire history of Pokemon.
Right, so instead we got a healthy 3-minute trailer and some nice quality information on the website. Yep. That's fine.
It's about the same amount of information we would have gotten.
Right, exactly, Brandon. We got the same amount of information we would have gotten if it was going to be a Presents. It's just they cut out all the fat and they gave us what we cared about: the meat and potatoes, the good stuff. So yes, we're gonna be talking about that today. But yeah, let's check on the chat first, guys. In the chat, if you could let me know how everything is looking and sounding, I'd appreciate that very much. So hopefully, there's no more technical difficulties we'll be experiencing for the evening. Hello there, Hash. How you doing? Zoe Lindwall. Hello there, guys. Please like the stream. I see there's a decent amount of people already watching. Very much appreciated. But the more people that like the stream, the more people may end up watching the stream, which is great. So please help out
and give us a like on Twitter too.
Oh yeah, retweeting and sharing is also helpful for those who may be interested. Do that as well. But yeah, let's continue on here. Barbarian Link says, hoping Microsoft buys Sony and Nintendo to stop with their greedy practices. After Microsoft buys both, they can finally charge $60 PS5 first party, better digital refunds, better communications, free. Barbarian Link, oops, wrong video.
There is a reason that monopolies are not good. You need competition. You think Microsoft is this kind of like good guy company, but they're not. They're just doing what they think is gonna get them the most money. They're not some kind of legendary game. Like Phil Spencer, he's a pretty cool dude. He's like a gamer.
Microsoft is the Vegeta of video games. Okay? It used to be the bad guy. Like a really cool bad guy that was super
like
powerful.
The beginning of the Xbox 360 era, when the Xbox One era.
And then after many episodes and many arcs of being kind of an asshole, but a cool asshole, they've progressively gone to the point where they're just an all-around good guy, and they're our best buddy,
nice guy,
best friend. Yeah.
But like, and seriously, like all the companies go through phases where they're just totally anti-consumer because they're on top and they don't care, and then they get brought down and humbled, and then they start being more consumer friendly, and that's what we're seeing right now. Sony's on top, comparatively in the console space, if you don't want to count the Switch.
You can cherry pick
they're
data.
kind of dominating that specific type of market because the Switch kind of has its own market almost. But compared to the typical rivalry between like PS4, like PlayStation and Xbox, they're completely crushing. So of course they're being very not even like that bad. It's not as bad as it used to be, but they're not being like the most pro-consumer with everything they do. Whereas Microsoft, their last generation, they just got trashed royally. Like it was bad. So of course they're being pro-consumer. They have to be because they need to get everybody on their good side.
Oh yeah.
So Microsoft buying Nintendo and Sony is not some kind of silver magic bullet that's gonna make gaming the perfect, most pro-consumer thing on the planet. It's just not gonna happen. Plus, Microsoft, I think I'd afford it, but it'd be a lot of money for them.
Yeah. So I mean, long story short, we don't think Microsoft is going to be buying Sony or Nintendo. I do like Microsoft as of late. I think they've made some major strides and done some really cool things.
Game
But,
Pass is
yeah.
probably the best deal in gaming.
Yeah, but Sony and Nintendo are also doing well in their own respective ways, and I think there isn't really a need for any company to really sell themselves off. I think they all have plenty of avenues for success, and they're all. I mean, really, we're looking at a situation where all three companies are pretty much thriving.
Yeah,
pretty healthily. Like, they're all doing pretty good. They all have things going well for them.
First time, like, in a long time, maybe ever.
Yeah,
that they're all like doing really well together.
Yeah, so like I don't really think it's like. I think we're fine, right? Like I
kind
think
of in a golden age of gaming, in a sense, to be honest. Like,
now,
I don't know why people are so complaining.
We'll say some people are upset about the increasing prices of software, and I mean, like,
that's fair.
It's
not that bad in the US, like paying 70 over 60, but like in European countries, I think it's like so much of a bigger difference for them. Like they're paying like. Before they were paying like 70 or 80 US dollars, now they're paying like upwards of like 100 for a game. It's like ridiculous.
It is tough. Because
like Canada's pretty high too.
I'll like I don't want to really get into politics. I don't know if you guys noticed. I just don't do that. No. One, because I want this to be more of an escape for people, where we're just kind of mostly talking about video games and cool nerdy stuff. But also, I don't want to risk sort of like. Like everyone has different opinions, and I want to be accepting of that. Even and then the other thing is that personally, I just am not that into politics. Like that's just if you ever get to know me personally, I just don't really like talking about that. I like talking about video games. I like talking about anime. I like talking about human potential and theoretical physics and quantum bologna, sci-fi stuff, and I do like talking
real
about
science that feels like sci-fi.
I like physics. I like talking about that stuff, right? Like like the Hadron colliders and like I like talking about a lot of like really cool, exciting concepts that may or may not be real. Both sides of the spectrum, and that's kind of what I like to talk about. Politics isn't really my thing, but anyways, let's move on. J.R. Tolkien. There are two hats on a hat rack. One turns to the other. What does it say? I feel like I'm not great at riddles.
I have a hat. I don't know. What does it say? Does he have a follow-up comment?
There are two hats on a hat rack. One turns to the other. What does it say? Hello, hat?
I'm a talking hat. This is crazy. I don't know.
Oh, wait. We got an answer.
Is this one of those riddles where we have to know the answer, or can we actually figure it out?
Okay, so, read through the chat. Hello there. Hello there, Greenix. How you doing, buddy? Natsu, hello there. Howdy. DE Fox, hello. Thank you for modding. And Josh Coleman, how are you? Says, you hang out here. I'll go ahead. And then JRL Toki responds, yes, be honest, did you look up the answer? And Josh says, I did the right thing. Okay. All right, there you go. Okay, cool. So just moving through here. Josh asks me, do I watch Arlo?
What's Arlo?
Not lately. No, Arlo is not an anime. But I bet a lot of people would watch it if they made it into an anime. Arlo is a Nintendo YouTuber. He's the blue Muppet looking guy.
Yeah, I know Arlo.
Yeah. I've seen his videos. I just haven't seen any as of late, so I wouldn't say I'm an avid watcher of Arlo. Nothing against the guy.
I don't think I've ever watched a single one of his videos, but I've seen clips.
I think he did like a Breath of the Wild review, like.
See him on Twitter sometimes.
Like not even that long ago, like only a few months ago, and I got like 1 million views or something. Like it was nuts. It was like 2 hours long. I may be exaggerating, but like there's
billion people want to watch a 2 hour video.
I don't know. I may be exaggerating some details here. I don't really remember, but I remember there being a lot of views. I remember it being ridiculously long, and I remember it happening years after the actual release. So it's kind of funny, but I respect it. Yeah.
whatever works, I guess.
Yeah. J.R.R.
People
Tolkien.
watched it, obviously, it wasn't that bad.
Which is your favorite Pokemon, and would it win or lose against Wind Waker Link? My favorite Pokemon. So, my favorite Pokemon is a very common Pokemon that a lot of people like. It's kind of a basic answer, but I mean, it's the truth. And the truth is, my favorite Pokemon is Charizard. Why?
Big shocker.
Because, well, I don't know, because he's like an orange dragon that breathes fire, and he looks cool. And then the first Charizard in the anime was super powerful and strong, and like I just thought it was epic. And I've used Charizard in a lot of my games, and I've won a lot of battles competitively with Charizard. And even if I haven't, I just think it's a really cool Pokemon. There's tons of other Pokemon I love, right? I also love Typhlosion. Typhlosion was my first fully evolved starter, actually, because my first game was Silver. Nice. I mean, I only listed 2 fire starters, but there's tons of Pokemon I like. I mean, I like Garchomp, I like Dragonite, I like
But who do you think would win fight, Toon Link or Charizard?
Oh, good question. Right, gotta answer that question. So
by the way, mine was Decidueye, which probably isn't my favorite Pokemon anymore. It's just the one I say because
Decidueye is pretty cool though.
And he would totally get whooped by a Toon Link. Let's be honest.
I'll tell you this: I think Koraidon and Miraidon are both gonna be serious contenders for some of my favorite looking Pokemon because they both look really cool. I'm talking about legendaries for Scarlet and Violet. Anyways, to answer the question though, I don't know. We'll answer this. Do you think Link could beat Valu?
Well, Valu is kind of like a gigantic Charizard almost.
Yeah, right. So okay, well, think of it from this. Okay, let's consider this perspective. Toon Link can beat Ganon, right? And Valu can't beat Ganon. So if Valu is a bigger Charizard, basically, then Toon Link should be able to beat
the only reason that
Charizard.
Valu can't beat Ganon is because Valu doesn't have the Master Sword, which is like the thing that beats Ganon. And
that is actually a really good point, because from terms of raw power, he was at least able to slow him down. And yeah, however, Valu was being tormented by the scorpion-looking boss, which is caused by Ganon. So, you know,
I think he just couldn't get to it because he's too big.
His butt was stuck.
Yeah, he was stuck. He was grabbing his tail, not letting him go.
Yeah,
he just couldn't get to the thing.
Right. So, I mean, right now we're trying to decide, can Link beat Valu, and it's a tough call, right? But let's ask ourselves: is Valu just a straight up superior version to Charizard? Because he's very big. Because
sometimes
he doesn't seem very fast.
The large things actually kind of have an advantage because it's hard for the. It's like when you're trying to kill a fly, and you're like, man, this fly is so small, it's so weak, but I can't get it.
And then of course, Charizard. Are we like, what kind of Charizard are we talking about? Right? Are we talking about Ash's Charizard? Or are we talking about a level 100 Charizard that's been Dynamaxed or Gigantamaxed? Right, or are we talking about Mega Wyzard? Or are we talking about Mega Exzard? Right, there's a lot of different Charizard variations, so it gets tricky.
We gotta go with just plain Charizard. No, definitely not Gigantamax. I feel like you could for sure lose.
I mean, I feel like Gigantamax Charizard could take any hit and just annihilate you with a solar power, sun powered wildfire blast.
Fire. That's the whole the flame coming out of his mouth is as big as the whole
Gigantamax Charizard. I feel like it just destroy a mountain. Yeah. So I mean, if we're talking about like souped up Charizard wins. If we're talking about a basic Charizard, if it's level 100, I'm still not sure. Toon Link wins. I don't know. Toon Link looks too cute for me to like think he can win.
He's got a shield that can block a lot of the fire.
Good point. Yeah.
He's got a sword that can stab straight through the scales.
And the thing is, various Links have defeated dragons before, so Toon Link shouldn't be any different. I would say Toon Link would beat a normal Charizard.
You know, Lizalfos are not too far off from Charizards. if you think about
They're
it.
more like Charmeleons that can use swords and shields.
Yeah, they can use sword and shields, and I think some of them can breathe fire, can't they?
Some of them can breathe fire. Some of them can shoot electricity. They all have long tongues. Some of them breathe ice. Like they're pretty.
Oh yeah,
fast.
they got changed a lot in Breath of the Wild.
They're pretty fast too.
Like
Lizalfos in Breath of the Wild, they actually can be a serious pain.
Yeah.
So
usually when I think of Lizalfos, the ones that come to mind is like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess.
Imagine if there was like a super Lizalfos that could fly and was like huge. Like, I don't know.
That'd be dope.
But it was still fast.
That'd be kind of just like the dragon boss in Twilight Princess when you go in the sky.
Yeah, except in case it was Twilight Princess, it was super easy.
Yeah. It was cool as heck though. That was the thing about all the bosses. They were super cool, but they were very easy.
Yeah. But let's continue on the chat here. Hello there, Sammy. You are on time because I was not. Nintendo, hello there. Having Hope 5. What's better than Xenoblade Chronicles 3? Nothing's better than Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Nothing in the world.
Nothing's better than
But
Xenoblade
maybe Breath of the
Chronicles
Wild
3.
2.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Well, okay. So what am I most anticipating? Pokemon Scarlet and Violet or Xenoblade Chronicles 3? That's tough. I'm anticipating both games.
Sure.
Let's just say I'm very happy they're coming out at different times of the year. Yeah. Because I'll probably have 100% of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 by November. Well, okay, we'll actually try to 100% Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It kind of depends.
Probably won't. I didn't even try for Xenoblade 2. I thought most of the side quests weren't that interesting.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of content we're talking about, right? Like, so for example, in Breath of the Wild, did I 100% it? Well, that depends on what you define as 100%ing. Did I do every side quest? Yes. Did I get every memory?
I almost
yes. Did I do every shrine? Yes.
Almost.
Did I get all the armor? Yes. Did I get all the Koroks? No.
No.
And I will never.
No. Yeah,
That's a little bit too much for me.
I'll eventually go get the last 2 or 3 shrines I need, the last like 2 or 3 side quests, and the last like 2 or 3 armors. But the Korok seeds, never.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never felt compelled to do every single side quest in a Xenoblade game.
I literally see Koroks, and I just I feel like I have enough slots, so I just pass by the Korok.
I will tell you this: in Future Connected, I did make sure to get every single Nopon. Like
in Torna, you kind of are made to do the side quests, but you don't have to do all of them. I did all of them. Every single side quest in that game. I did everything in that game except the special monsters. I forget what the names are. But like the super unique monsters or whatever they are, I didn't do that part. Okay. But that's the only part of the game I didn't do.
Okay. Cool. So I'm seeing right now
parts you have to like grind.
We have 56 concurrent viewers and 26 likes. That means less than half the people watching have liked the stream. If you could like the stream, that'd be very much appreciated. And that would probably mean more people would end up watching it. So please do so if you can. But let's continue on the chat here. Josh, I didn't get a haircut. It's just wet because I finished work basically an hour before I had to do the stream. Actually,
it is almost been a year since I've had a haircut.
We can tell.
It will be July 4th. Will be a year.
And that's not necessarily meant to be an insult, by the way. I actually think your hair looks great. So, you know.
I think I'm gonna get it cut to be a more similar length. Because the way my hair was cut originally last year, July 4th, I was cut to have like my bangs go across, and it was cut. The bangs were cut all different lengths across the whole thing. So now there's just one part of my hair that's like fucked up. So I'll probably cut my hair up to where I can fix that and then grow it back out. You know?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna read a couple more things here in the chat, and then we're gonna jump into the actual thick of things here. J.R.R. Tolkien, I'm proud of my completely unserious question. It was a good one. Nintendo, hey, I got one for you. How about Charizard versus a gun? Dynamax Charizard wins.
If you want to know that, there's that one Pokemon ripoff game where you can enslave and shoot Pokemon-like creatures.
Well, the thing is, Pokemon are actually like super powerful beings, and like a Charizard can withstand a Thunderbolt. Now, depending on where that Thunderbolt is coming from, right? But it could, in theory, survive. It'll be super effective, but it could, in theory, survive, right? A Charizard could, in theory, survive an explosion. So, could a Charizard, in theory, survive a bullet? I would say a bullet from a handgun is weaker than a Thunderbolt or an explosion, in general. Obviously, there are exceptions, but that would have to be quite the bullet from quite the gun to exceed the power of a Thunderbolt or an explosion.
Or lightning bolts. Some humans have gotten struck by multiple lightning bolts.
Yeah. Now, again, I'm not trying to say Charizard survive Thunderbolts and explosions all the time.
Pokemon can survive
could.
anything. They just go to sleep and go back in the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, they usually just faint. So they don't die. Anyway. Let's see here. Who was talking about dragons in Breath of the Wild 2? Because I 100% agree. Oh, Nintendo, give us a proper Dragon Boss in Breath of the Wild 2. Yes, I want a proper Dragon Boss in Breath of the Wild 2. That, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of teased it in Breath of the Wild 1 when you had to save Nadra from the corruption. But you didn't fight Nadra. You just killed off some goop from Nadra. And it was a cool event. Very awesome. I don't regret them doing that. I think it was a great decision. But I also would want to see actual dragons. We've mentioned this before, but there are the Leviathans, those giant skeletal structures. There's 3 of them throughout the world of Hyrule. What if those are revived in some way in Breath of the Wild 2? And those aren't necessarily dragons. They could be giant sky whales or whatever they are. Maybe they're each a little different.
I want to see dragons with better, more threatening animations. Because the dragons we see are very, like, slow. They just kind of like fly around. I want to see a dragon with like mean animations, with like huge roaring teeth and.
You want to see a dragon like from Monster Hunter?
Yes.
Yeah. We could have just played Monster Hunter, but I want to see it in Breath of the Wild too. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, given the fact that there's a huge focus on Sky gameplay in Breath of the Wild 2, and we've seen patents of Sky combat, like in-depth Sky combat in Breath of the Wild 2. I would be surprised if there aren't some actual significant battles that take place in the sky in Breath of the Wild 2. And I do think that also is suggestive of potentially a boss fight or two as well. And what's a great creature to fight in the sky? A dragon. So, is it really a stretch, given that we didn't even have an actual dragon boss battle in Breath of the Wild 1, and with Breath of the Wild 2, there's this belief, we don't know, but there's belief that we're going to be seeing a return of dungeons and perhaps more enemy variety. I think that if you were to gamble some money in there being a dragon boss fight in Breath of the Wild 2, you might win some. You might do it. Now, I am not offering any sort of financial advice on the matter, and if you can find a place where you can gamble some serious money on a dragon being a boss fight in Breath of the Wild 2, let me know. But anyways, I think it's a pretty good chance. So, yeah.
At least some kind of flying creature for sure.
Yeah, something flying, even if it's not a dragon. Nintendo, I'm thinking of getting Xenoblade Chronicles X, and it's going to be my first Xenoblade game. That's a good Xenoblade game. There isn't a bad one, in my opinion.
Decent one to start with, especially. I would say that one's pretty good to start with if you're less.
Yeah, it's not connected to the
RPG.
Stories really, so you can kind of it's just an epic open world game.
I think it's just an easier one to get into. Its battle system's a little simpler.
Yeah.
And the open world nature is I don't think a lot of people will understand that pretty well.
Yeah. And thank you, Nintendo, for liking the stream. Very much appreciated. Yeah, the more you guys like the stream, the more people will see this. Very much appreciated, guys. Thank you for liking the show. All right. So, what should we talk about first? You know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a poll. Let you guys decide. You guys can decide right now what we're doing first. Are we doing the Nintendo Direct Hopes and Wishes, or are we doing the Pokemon Scarlet trailer breakdown? Which one do you want me to do? We're doing both in this show, so it doesn't matter, right? They both happen within about 90 minutes from now. But I do want to know which one you prefer for me to do first, just to get a good idea of what people are thinking. Pokemon trailer breakdown, Nintendo Direct Hopes. Brandon, you can tell me your opinion by voting. You could also just tell me
Yeah,
your opinion.
I will. As soon as the.
I want to do both,
As
so
soon as it
like
pops
it's
up for
kind of
me.
like I haven't posted it yet, so I wanted to make sure I had the acento on the E for Pokemon. Oh. Alright, guys. Let me know which one you want me to do first. The poll has been posted. Let's see what happens while I sort of just kind of read a few more questions in the chat here. I already have the website pulled out. Let me pull up the Pokemon trailer, because we will be going into that as well.
Oh god.
Is it better to is it better to do it through Adobe or YouTube to kind of go frame by frame? I guess it doesn't really matter because you can do it either way. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
I don't think it matters.
How are you going to be displaying it? That's the question. Are you going to be capturing?
You know what? I'll just do it on
your
YouTube. That way I
screen
can
or
capture the
capturing
window.
Discord?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it on through YouTube. That way I can just capture the window.
I'm just wondering how I'm going to view it. You know?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a stream going on. It's on my channel.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You
Let's
mean
see
you're
here.
live?
Oh yeah, I'm live. Who's streaming from my channel live? Who got my deets? Could be me. Not sure. May figure it out later. Oh, that's cool. So when I search Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the stream is actually the fourth thing in the search, which is kind of cool. Yeah. But what I want to see is the one from the official Pokemon channel, which is not at the top of the search. Which is confusing. Like, I don't want to watch the trailer from GameSpot. I want to watch it from, you know, like, Pokemon Company. Well, I guess I could just watch the Nintendo UK trailer. That's fine. Same difference, right? Alright, so I got those resources pulled up. Alright, so right now, it looks like Nintendo Direct hopes are winning. When should we cut off the poll? Because right now, it's 61 to 39%. It's only been going on for 2 minutes. So
maybe like 5 minutes, I guess.
3 more minutes, because, you know, waiting for the poll to end is also delaying the news for both. Anyways, right, so I'll let it go on for 3 more minutes. I'll answer a couple more quick questions here while I wait for that. David Q asks, how are you guys doing? And I feel like that was a general question for everyone in the chat, but I'll just respond and say, I'm doing okay. I saved both a flock of ducks yesterday and a turtle.
Wow.
From getting crushed by a truck.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it was fun. Even though I was really tired, like, instead of like focusing on like getting stuff from point A to point B, I stopped at the side of the road to help a turtle. That's just what I was doing. So, you know,
I didn't save any lives, but I worked 11 and a half hours yesterday, so that's what I did.
Okay.
I've been working quite a bit.
Okay.
So, you know, doing work. That's how I'm doing. I'm doing work.
Okay. Gotta get that money, right? And I mean, I also have been working a fair bit too. Actually, the Joker on that note asks, "How is your job working from home going?" I love having a job from home. So I definitely wanted to have a job working from home because I felt like that would afford me the opportunity to be able to get more done at home. It's just kind of a little bit more efficient from the time perspective. Like, there's less commuting, right? Whenever I have downtime from work, I can multitask. I can perhaps exercise. I can eat. I can do laundry. I can get video work done on my off times, right? But, you know, I'm still busy working most of the time. The job I have now is actually very demanding in terms of time and effort, and so it's not like easy, but I do feel like because I am working from home, I am able to get more done than I have been before. So it's definitely, for me, a good fit. Absolutely. Havoc 5F asks, how's Ruby doing? So for those who don't know, Ruby is my new baby cat. She's doing really well. I was away from home for a week, so I was concerned if she would even remember me, and she remembers me. I came home, and she was like sort of like staring at me, and I came and I gave her a hug. She started purring. I put her down and I went to go sit down, and then she came and ran up and jumped on the chair. Not here, it was downstairs, but like right here by my shoulder for a while. And then when I went to bed, she just tried to eat my face. Not like literally eat my face, but she was like pulling at my ear and my nose for like an extended period of time. She was a little bit more affectionate than usual, so I feel like she definitely remembers me. So that was pretty cool. And she's great. Yeah. So, you know, she's doing really well. She's very loving, and everyone that's met her loves her. Yeah, right now she's downstairs with my brother's dog, so they're hanging out. Guy don't know added me. It's kind of funny to think that Super Mario Odyssey had a dragon boss fight, and it was a realistic dragon that wouldn't have looked out of place in Zelda. Right? Like, that is the kind of thing I would have wanted to see in The Legend of Zelda, and that was a really cool boss fight in Mario Odyssey, which I didn't actually consider when I was having the Mario Odyssey versus Mario Galaxy discussion. Because that was a very, very cool boss fight, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely a very
My
really good
answer
boss
for
fight.
that discussion is Odyssey will always be Odyssey. I think Odyssey's the best one yet. Honestly, Galaxy doesn't even feel like a true, what I envision as the true 3D Mario, in the sense that it's not a sandbox exploration game. So to me, Galaxy is a great, almost like spin-off. It's like its own thing to me. As far as 3D Mario's go.
I understand.
It's
what
like
you're saying.
3D World to me. You know?
Well,
Doesn't feel
I think you're sort of verbalizing what Rob and I also verbalized in the discussion, but in a different way, right? Because we both made the same sort of, well, what I think is sort of the same sort of thinking, in the sense that what Mario Galaxy is awesome, but even if you prefer Mario Galaxy, you want the direction to be Mario Odyssey. Like, you want them to move in that direction. Like, the future of Mario is the Odyssey style, right? Even if you don't necessarily think Odyssey is the best Mario, I think most will agree that the path forward for Mario is in the Odyssey style, and there is an even better game with that sort of direction. So I definitely sort of I feel you there for sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there, and I also, you know, one of the videos last week was talking about how I think we're not that far off from a Mario and the next Mario announcement. I'm not saying it's happening next week, but you know, within a couple years, I wouldn't be surprised if we have at least seen a trailer. Yeah, actually, within a couple years, we may be talking about a release date. Like, I think it could be out holiday 2023. I mean, I think the latest we'll see it is 2024. So, Joshua,
I think that's not fair.
Yeah, thank you. Joshua Ayers added me. Andres, what do you think of the Nintendo Direct rumor date? Do you think June 14th is a safe bet? What about the Shredder's Revenge leak date of June 16th? So I'm not sure about this Shredder's Revenge leak date of the 16th. I will say that while I am sort of thinking Tuesday, just because historically that's when it's happened, that is my prediction, and I am not shying away from that prediction yet. June 14th is still my prediction for when we see the Nintendo Direct. Can I be wrong? I 100% absolutely positively could be wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong yet. I mean, I could be. I absolutely could be, right? Like, because Nintendo hasn't announced it yet, and usually they announce the E3 Direct like a couple weeks in advance. But let's remember, this is not actually going to be an E3 Direct because E3 is canceled.
Right.
So they may not feel the need to market it for the sake of E3 scheduling a few weeks ahead of time. They may wait closer to the actual time that's going to happen because they're treating it like they do their other directs they have in the year, but it's still happening
Xbox
around that E3 time.
Just announced theirs that's happening on the 12th. Like just yesterday, the day before.
No, there was an announcement that Xbox and Bethesda were gonna have a showcase like a while ago. On
well,
Sunday.
I knew that they were, but
did they further detail it?
They at least made a post about it. It's the first thing I saw that was an official, because they had an event last year on the 12th, but I didn't see.
No, there was an official announcement of there being a Microsoft, an Xbox, and Bethesda show on June 12th, like at least weeks ago. Like that's already been known information. So
I don't know why they just posted about it again.
Maybe as a reminder. Maybe I'm lying.
First thing, it's the first I saw.
I'm fairly certain that no, this has been a thing. Like it's been a known thing for a little while. But regardless, though, the fact that they are having that showcase does bode well for Nintendo having theirs, right? Like the fact that Sony's putting out their stuff, right? The fact that all the big companies are doing it now. That we're getting the news now. And the fact that we just got the Pokemon news is also boding well for that too. So, I think, yeah. Anyway,
still seems to be following that typical E3 schedule so far.
It's pretty close. I'm ending the poll. We got 43 votes in, and the total is 60-40 in favor of Nintendo Direct. Now, I really want to talk about Pokemon stuff, so we are going to talk about Pokemon stuff, but we will talk about after Nintendo Direct hopes. So stay tuned. Pokemon stuff is still happening for the show. So, Brandon, you still there, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The camera goes away anytime I go off the Discord.
I'll forgive you someday. Probably not now, but it can happen. Anyway, so we're kind of already talking about the Nintendo Direct and stuff, but we're specifically focusing on our hopes. So my first hope is that they announce the Nintendo Direct tomorrow or Wednesday.
Tomorrow or Wednesday?
Yeah,
I could see it. It's tomorrow would be Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. So Tuesday or Wednesday.
I'm hoping they give us some notice.
Just under a week. Well, yeah, you would hope. I don't think that they're going to do like the day before. But I think they'll at least do 2-3 days before the event, like the announcement.
I don't see them announcing it on the weekend though, right? So like.
No, yeah. So it would need to be by
Friday their time, right? Which might mean like Thursday evening our time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's possible. Yeah, I could see that. That's possible. I mean, ultimately, I just want it to happen this week. But I mean, the sooner it happens, the easier it is for me to plan my week around their presentation. I haven't done any sort of like
same.
I haven't like asked off of work or anything like that.
Yeah, me either.
So I'm kind of curious.
I can get off work pretty easily, but
yeah, we'll see. Still. But I mean that's kind of the big thing for me. Like I just want to know what those plans are, so I can sort of start planning around it. And so when they do sort of make that announcement, sometimes they give us a little bit of flavor text, a little bit of something to kind of give us an idea, like a very vague idea of what to expect. They'll be like, we're going to be focusing on Super Smash Brothers and other 2018 games, for example. That's what they did in 2018, right? Or they'll be like, this is going to be heavily focused on Splatoon 3 and other second half of 2022 games, right? Or what do they say? Right. Hey, we're going to have a Nintendo Direct focused on Breath of the Wild 2 and other upcoming games. Like, like that would be big, right? Because we don't know if Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be there, and they may confirm that with this announcement. They might. They also might not. So, and
I guess my hope is that it's going to be there, because I definitely think it's going to be there.
Yeah, I hope it's going to be there. What do I think? You'll just have to wait until next week, maybe. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think you're off in that thinking. But it's not a foregone conclusion either. So. But yeah, so I'm hoping for an announcement within the next coming days.
Nothing is with Nintendo.
Sometime this week, so we have a little bit of a window to sort of prepare for it. So I'm assuming it's announced between Tuesday and Thursday for us for a Direct to happen next Tuesday, June 14th. But if it happens June 15th or 16th, I'm not going to really cry about it. Like, that's still fine. So,
How dare they?
Ultimately, my hope is an announcement this week for a Direct next week with Treehouse footage to follow.
Yeah, I definitely think there will be Treehouse footage after the main Direct. They might just go straight into it. Like, I think they've done that before. But, they have before. They've done Treehouse, like, without E3. But I forget if they did it on the same day, or if it was, like, later in the day and we had to wait, or if they just went straight into it. What do you think? Are they gonna what are you hoping that it will all be on one day, or are you hoping that they'll spread it out? Because I'm kind of thinking maybe just one day.
I'm hoping,
it's not attached to E3, so there's no
hoping
reason to draw it out.
that it's all one day. And if it's not one day, I want the bulk of information to happen on one day, and perhaps the following day, if they want to have additional Treehouse segments of games they've already featured in Treehouse, but just like a second hands-on demo, so we could just get a little bit more on it. That I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I want everything done in one day. That way, I mean, look, you don't have to see it all in one day if you don't want to, right? They could start from the beginning of the day and do it the entire day. There can be hours upon hours of footage to sift through and enjoy, and you can enjoy that for the next coming months and analyze and overanalyze the patootie out of it. Like, you can do that if you want to. Doesn't matter if they spread it between 2 days or 1 day. It could be the same amount of content, right? I just want it all in one day because, you know, I don't want to be sort of like waiting for more big blowout. And like, if it happens, it happens. Like, I'm not gonna complain about that, but it's easier for me to sort of focus on it, I guess. And I mean, it's kind of like, for example, if you're gonna go watch a movie, do you want to go watch that movie and then watch the second part of the movie the next day? No. You want to watch the whole movie in one sitting, right? If it's like this big thing you've been waiting for, you know, if you're going to the theater to watch it or something, or if it's like a big release, you want to watch it all in one part. I don't like it when things are segmented, especially when they're coming out like soon after. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? 'Cause it's all about perspective, right? Like, for example, sometimes people will watch an episodic series and they have to wait every week for a new episode to get it a day later. Well, I mean, that's better than waiting a whole week, right? Like, so from that perspective, it's better. But if you already have this expectation that you're going to enjoy the entire program in one sitting, just for it to end up being multiple sittings, not okay with that. Here's another example that's slightly different, but also kind of annoying. So, Attack on Titan. They're in its final season. But then there's Final Season Part 2. But wait, no, apparently there's a Final Season
My Hero Academia
Part
also
3.
split their seasons into parts.
Yeah.
That was really frustrating too.
Yeah, but the thing is, for Attack on Titan, each part is effectively another season. So, it's like, they're not really... I don't know. I don't like that. I want it all in one shot. Even if it's a long shot, I want it all in one shot.
Yeah.
Tell us there's going to be a direct. Tell us there's going to be 2 to 3 hours of maybe even 4 hours of Treehouse footage afterwards. That'd be amazing. The thing is, last year, it was a lot more sort of... It was shorter, right? They were very concise with the information. And that's partly because they were trying to... They were a part of the E3 schedule, right? Nintendo doesn't have to restrain themselves anymore. They're not trying to abide to our particular schedule. So, you know, from one perspective,
the Nintendo schedule, baby.
they could give us a 45-minute, 50-minute direct, you know, maybe even it's close to an hour, which I don't think is a good idea, because if there's going to be an hour,
it'll be 40 minutes.
It'll probably be too long for people. But then after that, they can have Treehouse for 6 hours. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour like Treehouse window. It could be 6 hours of Treehouse footage, which would be epic. And I'm pretty sure we've had a couple years where we've had that level of content.
There
in
were
Treehouse.
some years where we got a ton. I think 2014 we had it was 3 days of Treehouse, and it was like 6 hours each day. It was insane.
Yeah.
It was a lot of Treehouse.
I see a super chat here from Taker610 for $2. Thank you very much, Taker. Taker says, big summer blowout. What is this year's Zelda? So this year's Zelda is Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD. Did you see that one coming? Hopefully. This is hopes, not predictions. I do hope for that. I actually have had an itch to play both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess for a while already, and I would love to have them on my Switch. I mean, I don't really like playing games on other systems. I want everything on my Switch. I think I mentioned the other day on another stream that I have Dragon Ball FighterZ on my Switch now, and it's awesome. But I already had Dragon Ball FighterZ on my PlayStation, but I got it on my Switch. Why? Because there's an 85% discount on the eShop, and also at the time I didn't have my PlayStation. I do now, but I just like playing it on Switch. It's on my Switch. I can take it with me. You know, it's comfortable. It's portable. I honestly prefer the Pro Controller over the DualShock. So yeah, I just do. It's more comfortable for me. So, you know, with that in mind, I also would prefer to play Twilight Princess and Wind Waker on my Switch and not a Wii U that I do not use. So, yeah. I mean, I do have a functioning Wii U. I do have Wind Waker HD on there. I got rid of Twilight Princess HD though.
Because it hasn't been used in years.
So if I wanted to, I probably could get another find Twilight Princess HD again. But it's just like,
it's expensive. My brothers or my siblings were looking for it for their Wii U, and it was not cheap. It wasn't like ridiculous, but it was like a price of a full game or something.
Sorry, I'm making a face. But yeah, I mean,
I think it was above MSRP. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't want to spend money for a game that's old but not really that old. Like, it's one of those. It's first off, back when I was a kid, when old games weren't supposed to be weren't expensive, they were like cheap. Like, oh man, I can get it cheap, right? Like. Yeah. I feel like Twilight Princess HD isn't so old that it should be rare.
After, like, mainstream, culturally popular, really was devastating for the retro community.
Yeah.
The prices, they're not good anymore.
Yeah.
There was a golden era where you could walk in and buy like any old game for like a couple dollars in a game store. Now it's like ridiculous.
Times are a little different here. So, you know,
even like 3DS games, you go try to buy 3DS, and the 3DS games are ridiculous. Like, some of them are like $100.
Yeah.
Just like basic games.
So, you know, with that in mind, though, I definitely hope that Twilight Princess and Wind Waker are available on Switch this year. That would be nice, and I hope they come out sometime between the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Somewhere in that window. Now, I do understand there's another big game that's coming on around in between those two games, and that is Splatoon 3. But Splatoon 3 is a very different beast from Xenoblade and Pokemon. Pokemon and Xenoblade are open world exploration adventure games that are going to be single player focused. Yes, there's multiplayer in Pokemon, I get that. And there's a lot of multiplayer aspects, which we will be detailing a little bit more on later in this discussion, by the way, so stay tuned. But Splatoon 3 is like a multiplayer centric kind of game, and Zelda could probably come out within a couple weeks of that, and it wouldn't really make too much of a difference. Like, I'll get Splatoon 3 regardless of when I get Zelda, you know? But if I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3, while I would love to play the Zelda games, I'm not going to play them at the same time, probably. It's just kind of like, when you're focusing on a narrative or like an adventure, and I'm sure there are exceptions, some people may do things differently, but for me, I'm going to focus on that one narrative adventure until I finish it, and then I'll move on to the next one.
I'm going to invest myself into the world and
right.
fully immersed.
It's like an escape. Exactly. You're immersing yourself into that experience. And when it comes to something like, say, Splatoon 3, the immersion is not really the focus of the game. I'm not saying you can't get immersed into it. I'm not saying you can't buy yourself into that world. But it's more about saying you can kind of pick up and play, drop, play something else, come back to it. So I'm simply arguing that I wouldn't be surprised if Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD come out in September alongside Xenoblade Chronicles, not Xenoblade, Splatoon 3. Yeah. Like, Splatoon 3 is coming out the end of September.
Do we have any games for August? It could come out in August.
It could come out in August as well.
Right in between
August
those.
is a good time. Maybe. And
Xenoblade
they may even sort of like make my opinion moot, and they'll just come out 2 weeks after Xenoblade Chronicles 3. You know, that could happen. We have seen similar releases come out fairly close to each other. So, not a stretch, but if I had to guess, I'm going to say September. And if not September, late August. Like, either late August or early September is my prediction for when we see these Zelda games. Even though we're talking about our hopes, that's also when I hope for it to come out. Just because I think that makes sense. Yeah. But, let's see here. Megaton Menace added me. How come when people talk about big 2022 games, they never mention Bayonetta 3? Because Bayonetta 3 is unfortunately what I would classify as a niche series. Now, that is not me speaking ill of the game. That is not me trying to undervalue the game. That is not me saying the game will not be the bee's knees. I think Bayonetta 3 is going to be a really good game. I think it could be the best game in the series. I think it could even go down as the best-selling game in the series, and it might even expand that user base, that fandom, and maybe Bayonetta 3 is less of a niche title afterwards, but it's not going to sell as much as Pokemon.
Also, one of the best-looking games that we've seen on the Switch.
I mean, it's
that
stellar.
trailer looked incredible.
It's stellar for sure, right? But I guess, you know, it's not the next big Pokemon, right? And it's not the next big Splatoon. Those games are the games that are going to sell 10 plus million. Bayonetta, if it sells 3 million, that'll be an incredible success. And hey, I mean, I hope it does, right? And if it goes beyond that, awesome. But there's another thing to consider here. They're not really advertising Bayonetta 3 right now, right? It's not so much just sales expectation. It is also the fact that they're just not advertising it right now. Why aren't they advertising it? I think they're just not ready to advertise it yet. I wouldn't be surprised, though, that if perhaps in a direct this month, in less than 2 weeks from now, or about 2 weeks from now, we do, I mean, hopefully 8 days, but they start showcasing the game. The game comes out August. It's amazing. Like, I could see that. And it's fully featured and there's more discussion on the title. Like, I could see that happening. But it, you know, that's probably why it's not being advertised and it's not expected to be a big seller. Not saying it won't sell well, but there's a difference between 20 million versus 3 million.
I kind of feeling this is gonna be either an October game or a December game.
I might not really believe in the December game anymore.
No,
I think it's a myth.
It's a myth.
Yeah. Like, if we see a December game, it's gonna be something that's like kind of casual, so kind of like left field, not really too popular. You don't believe me?
Maybe.
Let's take a look at all the December releases for the Nintendo Switch. Here we go.
Yeah.
I actually don't even know how to figure this out. Nintendo Switch games.
We got Xenoblade 2 in 2017.
Right.
We got
Smash Ultimate.
In 2018, we got Smash.
Right. And what about that?
2 huge AAA titles in the first 2 years of December.
And how about afterwards?
Not afterwards. Kind of.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
It does happen though every once in a while. And there are other. I think there are other. There's like a big game. I forgot what it was. They got announced for December this year too. So on another platform.
Oh, another platform. So
it's like there are games releasing.
I'm talking about published Nintendo titles.
In December.
Taking a look at...
Is Nintendo published? Oh, yeah, they are.
Alright, so...
They're funding like the whole game.
Looking at release dates, okay. So, I'm just looking at December titles. So, Smash Brothers 2018, right? That I was never... just I know that. I'm just talking about from 2019 and beyond. What is the December? What sort of December releases have we seen?
Not much.
I'm gonna Control F December. That might make it easier for me. All right. Okay, so Smash. Okay.
The list just stops. It's just blank after Smash.
Among Us.
Nothing.
Which is not published by Nintendo.
The greatest game of all time.
Yeah. The Switch port of Among Us came out in December, apparently.
Streamed a lot.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which we also mentioned. Oh, here's our 2021 December release. Big Brain Academy, Brain vs. Brain.
Ah, the greatest game of all time.
Right. But you kind of see my point there with that one, right? Like, it's something that's not too common. So there was also Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training for Nintendo Switch in 2019. And that's it.
Same game.
Well, I lied. There's also Fitness Boxing that came out December 2018, and Fitness Boxing 2,
can't forget Fitness Boxing.
Rhythm and Exercise that came out December 2020.
Oh my god. You're forgetting the biggest games.
Yeah,
on the
so
Switch.
The point I was trying to make is that outside of 2018, it's been casual entries that haven't had that much publicity. that have come out in December. And then last
Just
year
the first
we
3 years
had
was kind of
Advance
awful.
Wars coming for December, but that has been delayed twice.
Oh yeah.
So I'm simply suggesting that perhaps Nintendo doesn't necessarily want to put one of their bigger releases.
Biggest, most gigantic game ever. You know, we were just talking about how niche it is.
Well, okay, yeah, it sounds hypocritical, right? I just mean, well, it's just kind of like a different style of game, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think
I did say October or December. Just to be fair.
I'm simply saying that we've seen more casual efforts come out in December, and these casual efforts aren't like the big casual efforts, like the lesser known one of the year, right?
Yeah.
So Bayonetta 3
It
is
has
not is
happened
like
before, but just
Bayonetta
not
3 is like one of the most hardcore games that's going to be coming to the Switch, right? It's like the exact opposite side of the spectrum. And I'm not saying hardcore games can't sell in December, right? Like, after all, we did see Xenoblade Chronicles 2 come out December 2017, and we
sold
did
very
see
well.
Smash Ultimate come out December 2018. But in retrospect, I almost feel like those games came out in December not because they thought that was a great time to release it, but because they really wanted those games out as soon as possible, right? So for 2017, I think Nintendo's perspective was just to get out as many major entries for some of their key franchises in the first calendar year, and it worked really well. The Switch is going to be maybe the best-selling Nintendo console ever, or at least the second one. Like, it's on pace to do incredible things. And then they wanted Smash Ultimate to at least make it out for the holiday of the second year of Switch, because it's Super Smash Brothers, right? Because they wanted a major Super Smash Bros. Entry.
Plans for that series.
Yeah, exactly. And they wanted this out as early as possible because of Smash Brothers. Going beyond that, though, they haven't really been slotting any major releases in December. The one game that kind of appeals to the core sort of user base on Switch, Advance Wars, was delayed. They didn't think it was worth pushing. I mean, you know, they wanted to polish it, so maybe there's that. But even this, so Advance Wars.
On Advance Wars, just real quick, I hope we get a release date for Advance Wars.
I agree. I would love to see that too. I want it to come out this year. I don't want to wait that long. I think the game, it would be beneficial for the game to come out sooner than later. At this point, the game's done, right? It's not a matter of polishing the product. The game's ready. It simply was delayed because of, you know, the war.
World events.
Right, world events. So I hope it is released as well. 100% with you there, buddy. Okay, got another super chat here from Taker for $2. Thank you very much, Taker. Real question: do we see anything Metroid? My hope is yes. My hope is we see Metroid Prime 4. We see Metroid Prime Remake. My prediction: we have to wait until next week. I actually no. I do believe we're gonna see something Metroid. Yeah, that's beyond the hope. It's actually an expectation of mine. I expect to see something Metroid when Nintendo has their summer direct.
No way they hyped up Dread that much to then just not have any more Metroid the next year.
Something Metroid Prime related will be at the show. Will it be Metroid Prime 4? I'm thinking it's possible. Metroid Prime 4 is more of the hope, right? But a remaster or remake of one of the 3 Prime games, at least one of the 3 Prime games.
Hopefully one.
Yeah, my belief it's Metroid Prime 1 that's getting greatly remastered. That'll be shown off, and it will be coming out this year. That's my sort of expectation there. But my hope is something Metroid, including the likes of Metroid Prime 4.
Same. I want that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition style upgrade. Maybe even more. Who knows?
Yeah. Now,
it's a smaller
since
game.
We are talking about more about hopes as opposed to like realistic expectations, right? I would love to see the next 3D Mario. Love it. Do I think the next 3D Mario is going to be shown off in the direct? I don't. But I would love to see that, right? That's kind of like, I can't wait to see the next iteration of 3D Mario. I think there's so much potential there, as I sort of alluded to earlier. Would love to see that. Another series that I would hope to see, but I'm not necessarily expecting, is a Donkey Kong game. We talked about the Donkey Kong game before on the channel. That's one of the few things where we did have like insider information. You know, I mean, I shouldn't be really doing quotes, but you know, point is, I want to see that because I want to see what they're doing with Donkey Kong. I want to see what they're at with that.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily.
This is my favorite 2D platformer. So
yeah, Donkey Kong's amazing.
What they're doing.
I don't know when they're gonna show it off, but I hope they show it off soon. Hope they do. Another thing I'd love to see that I also don't expect to be shown off this year is that Bandai Namco remake. That I am hoping is a remake of Kid Icarus Uprising, because I think that is an action game, a 3D action game that Nintendo has done. That's a fact, right? It's a 3D action game, so Kid Icarus Uprising fits that description of the remake. That would make the most sense to be remade because it would benefit from being on traditional controls with dual analog sticks. I think it's one of those games that if it got the visual upgrade, it would look beautiful on Switch, and I think it could sell really well, and I think it would also benefit from an improved online infrastructure compared to 3DS. I know talking about Nintendo having improved online infrastructure may seem a little taboo, but the online setup on Switch is still vastly better than what we had on 3DS. So you know, I think their Kid Icarus Uprising remake would be a much better game if it was remade for Switch. So I want to see that as soon as possible. It may not happen. I mean, Bandai Namco is remaking something that is being described as a 3D action game. The question is, what is it? I hope it's Kid Icarus Uprising, and I hope we see it in a Nintendo Direct this month. But if I'm talking about my expectations, while I do think there's a decent chance it could be a Kid Icarus Uprising remake, I don't necessarily expect that for this year. That might be a year or two down the road.
Yeah. It's so hard. I feel like with Breath of the Wild not in this year, there is like a kind of a gap, and I don't think that Wind Waker and Twilight Princess being slotted in there really fills that gap. I'm hoping that this year doesn't end up being slightly underwhelming, and they have something good to fill the gap.
Well, all right. Let me throw this at you. Okay, so Xenoblade Chronicles 3, right? I think that helps, right?
Yeah, of course.
Metro Prime Remake. I think that helps. Okay, an open world, a proper open world Pokemon game that, by the way, also has real-time cooperative multiplayer, so you can play the entire adventure 4 people. That's big. We want that for Xenoblade X. They're doing it in Pokemon, right? So that's crazy. Now, depending on to what level there's like integration between players and doing raid battles and team ups, we'll see on that. We'll talk more about that in a bit, by the way. I've been like slowly like reminding me, hey, look, we're still gonna do the Pokemon analysis, but
I voted on doing that one first.
Yeah, I wanted to do it first too.
I was overruled.
I actually wanted to do it first as well, but doesn't matter either or. So, but you know, you got Xenoblade, Metro Prime, Pokemon. Those all, to some extent, I feel like kind of tickle the Zelda, you know, that urge for a Zelda adventure, because they're all sort of like big, cool adventure games. Metroid is kind of like, I like to describe it as first-person space Zelda, right? Obviously, there are differences, but I don't think that's like a crazy sort of comparison when you think of it like that with those adjectives.
Do you think Metroid Prime would be a good thing to fill the gap? Because you're right, like there is a lot of that like adventure exploration sign with Metroid that itches that part that you want from Zelda. So
Twilight Princess Wind Waker HD ports, Metroid Prime Remake, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet open world. I think all of those tickle the Zelda desire a little bit. Bayonetta 3, I don't think it tickles as much because it's like a very vastly kind of different thing.
I was just putting that as a game that's coming out.
I mean, well, you know, to sort of value your point there, Bayonetta 3 is like a legitimate action title, right? And sometimes people like Zelda as Nintendo fans because Zelda offers some serious third-person action, and Bayonetta 3 is a serious third-person action game. Like, that is what it is.
Yeah.
That is its focus, right? That is not the focus of Zelda, but to have that in there. Bayonetta 3 is that. So, let's throw that into the pot as well, right? And then, what about Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope? Like, very different from what Zelda would be, but it does offer a fantastical world to explore, and that's cool. Which could tickle that Zelda itch as well. The desire to explore a fantasy world. So even though they're all very different, right? They're all very different. These games are nothing like Breath of the Wild 2 will be, but they all will to some extent tickle that itch a little bit. Now, that will probably cost you $360 plus taxes, but you got that option. You could just play the 2 Zelda ports if you haven't played them before. But could there be something else, Brandon? Is that what you're alluding to? Beyond what we sort of know about or has been rumored? Was there something else you think that could come out this year? Or hope that comes out this year in place?
See, hope? Something specific. I'm trying to think of what it could be. But I'm honestly not coming up with anything. Like, I'm trying to think. Zelda would just be the ports. So we got that series isn't gonna be coming. So then I'm thinking like Mario. Well, we have Mario Strikers. We got that coming.
Yeah.
And then we have the Mario Kart DLC. So we have that.
Yeah,
so we got Mario's pretty covered.
Another reason to consider.
Pokemon's covered.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime would cover Metroid. So I'm just like trying to think of what series is left over to fill the void.
Kid Icarus.
Kid Icarus, yeah.
Or Star
if that
Fox.
comes this year. Star Fox.
Or Donkey Kong. Or 3D Mario.
Donkey Kong is one I could see. Because that's more like a platformer. Do we really have any platformers coming out later this year?
No.
No?
And on that note, if it's not Donkey Kong, what about 2D Mario?
Well, 2D Mario would be interesting.
Yeah.
It might have been meant to come out alongside the movie, so maybe they might push that back, actually. If it was going to come out this year alongside the movie.
I think it also depends on when the 3D Mario's coming, right? Because what if they sandwich it, right? Like, so 2D Mario comes out now, Mario movie comes out halfway through next year, and then at the end of next year we see 3D Mario. So it's like a Mario sandwich.
I do feel like 2D Mario needs a new style, it needs a new face, and maybe they will use some aspect of the art style from a movie, though, and maybe we'll see the movie and the 2D Mario kind of like shown off together in a direct.
Yeah.
You know
what would probably
the Mario movie trailer
be the best thing to sort of scratch that itch, that Zelda itch, and I think Surviving brings it up in the chat. Surviving says that 2D Zelda might be ready for this year instead of Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
Like, what if we don't get Twilight Princess Mononoke HD, instead Nintendo gives a new 2D Zelda? Like,
that would be interesting.
I would prefer that.
I don't think that there is a 2D Zelda that would be ready. Like, trying to think of how logistically how that would work, right? Because they would have had to plan it for next year, and I feel like
it could have been just sitting on the shelf waiting.
You think they just have a 2D Zelda sitting on the shelf waiting?
Yep.
Unannounced?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Pikmin. You know when they might have sitting on a shelf waiting? Pikmin. What happened to Pikmin?
Well,
where's Pikmin? Did Pikmin die?
I could see Pikmin coming out this year. That could be like, so we're not gonna see Kid Icarus, 2D Zelda, 2D Mario, Donkey Kong, Star Fox, Pikmin all come out this year. One of those we just mentioned could.
Yeah.
One of them. The rest, wait till at least next year.
Yeah.
So,
out of those, I would say, like, Pikmin, honestly, is not that unlikely. Pikmin's one of those games that they could just announce at any time. Just be like, here it's coming.
And considering that we already have Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, like, we already have, like, those open world adventures, and if you throw in Metroid Prime Remake and some 3D Zelda ports, you do have, like, that adventure itch, but Pikmin is, like, that unique sort of Nintendo experience that is a core-centric that I think will appeal to some Zelda fans. It's a very different style of game, but in conjunction with everything else that we were already considering, I think that kind of really puts a nice bow on the lineup for what could be this year. Because you got your multiplayer stuff with Splatoon 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, right? And then obviously you have Mario Strikers and Switch Sports already have come out this year. But then, you have your hardcore sort of experiences with Bayonetta 3, and Metroid Prime Remake, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And then obviously Zelda, I mean, you would still have that Zelda-esque, release with the ports. And some of those games all have like their narrative experiences. And then you do have some more strategy options with the Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is somewhat of a cool, fantastical adventure at the same time. And if you throw in Pikmin, which is like a completely different style of adventure game that is also an exploration game
RTS.
That would have some seriously, probably would be quite a looker from a visual perspective, right? They probably would be one of the best looking games on Switch.
I think the next Pikmin's going to look nice.
That all bodes well. Not to mention, we are getting Sunbreak this summer. Right, like that's also something that should be considered. Sunbreak is effectively a new game, so I mean it has its own physical release if I'm not mistaken. So yes, like there's I think that's enough.
I think so.
I mean, for first half of the year's already been strong too. It's not like they need the second half to make up for a bad first half. The first half has already been good. The second half we expect to be comparable,
but
it's not better. Yeah, it'll be pretty good.
You expect a lull after March.
Yeah. But, Brandon, in the interest of time, I do think we should move on. Is there any other hopes you have that you want to mention now before we move on to our Pokemon breakdown?
I just hope that, all else fails, I hope that they show a decent amount of Breath of the Wild 2, and I can stop calling it Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, I hope we can call it, like, Breath of the Darkness. Or
I don't want to call it Breath of anything.
The Legend of Zelda.
Get rid of that. Just call
Zelda's Wild Breath.
Zelda's stank breath.
My hope is that we get another Zelda name that we have to get used to saying that seems weird at first, but after like a couple months we're like, it's just rolling off the tongue. Because when they said Breath of the Wild did not roll off the tongue at first, but after years of saying Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, it has become something that seems to somehow roll off the tongue, but I think it's just because we've trained our tongues to be able to say Breath of the Wild naturally, but it was not natural at first. We only said it
20 million times, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at videos, like, the amount of times I say Breath of the Wild per video, it's just... like, I wonder what, like, if you were to, like, take every single video I have uploaded, stream or not,
and
Naruto, an average the amount of times I say Breath of the Wild, what would be the number? Like 4.6? Or would it be higher? Give or take. Is it over or under?
Naruto when it's in the last part of Shippuden where they're on the beach and they're fighting the last battle and they're fighting against those special weapons where it can like suck out your soul if you say the word you say the most.
Oh yeah,
I think ours might be it might be Breath of the Wild.
Probably. Yeah, I mean that or Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Just Nintendo in general, maybe.
Probably. I feel like the answer is Breath of the Wild too. I think it is. Yeah. Charles Trudell added me. Dumb title idea. Zelda Breath of Fresh Air. There you go. Demas. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Weath. Breath of the Weth. Banner Yagami. Zelda Cursed Destiny. Breath of the Wealth. Okay. Some interesting options there, guys. Oh, Kitano Tato in the chat. Hello there. I'm not at all convinced that any Zelda game is coming out this year. Not having a Zelda game this year would allow Nintendo to push all the smaller titles mentioned. There doesn't have to be a Zelda this year, but Nintendo does try and have some sort of Zelda release. It could be, I think the Zelda ports wouldn't take away too much from other games coming out this year that are brand new. So we'll see on that.
I don't think there's a bunch of like small titles in general that would be overshadowed. Mm-hmm. Like most of the games are pretty big titles.
Yeah. I see Rel saying, I think 2D Zelda is definitely possible this year. I hope so. I want a 2D. I want a brand new 2D Zelda adventure. That'd be really cool. The games
that we mentioned earlier, 2D Zelda is probably the least likely one in my mind, just because they were positioning a 3D Zelda for this year. So it doesn't make sense to me that they would have a 2D Zelda ready to go. Like, I feel like that would still be a year or two.
I think I just basically think anything is possible. But I mean, I understand your point. I do think it makes
possible,
sense.
But yeah, I think
if we have to bet money, I would agree that you probably don't bank on that. So I will read a few more Zelda names here that people are suggesting, then we'll jump into the Pokemon breakdown. Zonite Theorist, awesome name. The Legend of Zelda, Hand of Time. Okay.
Not a bad name. Not a bad name.
Oh, Debus corrected me. It is, as I initially said it, Breath of the West. Perfect. Joshua Ayers, Zelda Edge of Duality. I know that was supposed to be a supposed leak. Maybe, or at least like a code name at one point. Joycey J, Legend of Zelda, The Final Breath. Ooh, okay, that's dark, but I like it. Having 5, Zelda Shadow of the Sky, or Zelda Return of the Demon King. Okay. Shadow of the Sky is kind of ominous, but in a great way. So I don't know, I'm kind of digging that one. Dr. Wolfstar, Legend of Zelda Mario's Missing. Okay. I got another hot one from Debus. The Legend of Zelda Green Hando. There you go,
Nice.
Gears of War Phoenix Edition, Breath of Duality. Remember that leak? Yeah, I mean, I don't actually expect that to be the name, but it's possible maybe that was an early on name that was considered, or as at least kind of like a code name that was meant to suggest the concept of duality within the game. Perhaps. And if that ends up being the name, holy crap.
I don't want it to be the name.
Megaton Menace, Link Gets Lost. Dr. Wolfstar, Link's Mansion. Okay. Or Super Zelda Sisters, that's funny. Super Chris, Legend of Zelda, The Calamity of Time. Okay. Alright, this is the last one. Bad Origami, Fart of the Wild. That's it. There we go. Oh, well, Charles Trudell added me, so I just feel like I have to say it. Not dumb. Zelda, The Separation. Interesting. Maybe. Alright, so let's get into that breakdown, okay? First, let's go through, I think, the trailer. I think that's fair. We go through the trailer, and then we analyze the website. I think that's probably the best way to go about doing this. So, give me a moment here, guys. I'm going to...
Unless you're going to share your screen on Discord, I'll have to watch it on YouTube, I guess? And just, like, kind of be... I don't know. How do you want to do this?
It is tough. Could I share... Is sharing screen on Discord a good idea?
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I just don't know how it'll impact people, how they'll watch it. Okay. I don't know. I can try.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't think it's gonna work.
Can you capture the screen and then just capture that with OBS? Or can you capture the screen and the capture with OBS at the same time? So that I'm just seeing what your screen capture on Discord, but they're seeing the screen cap from OBS?
I'm trying to figure out how to do this so it makes sense for you. We don't really... Are you able to watch the YouTube feed?
Yeah. I'll just have to... I can't mute the YouTube feed independently of the rest of my audio for some reason.
Oh. Okay.
And of course, it's delayed. So.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me see if this is... I kind of have to change
Figure
the way...
it out, guys. We're doing it live.
I have to change the way we share on here to make it work. So give me a second. Let me see... So, what is this scene? Alright, this scene literally turns off this. And then what I can do... Turn off the background music. And then I can just literally screen share. That's an option. I don't know how people will receive it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. I don't know. No, it just looks weird. It looks weird for everyone else.
You should be able to full screen it.
Brandon, can you
And
check
then we
the
should
chat?
like be picture in picture. Oh yeah. Let me see the chat. How's it? Let me see how it's looking.
The thing is, this way I can't check the chat while we're doing this. I can only do this.
Do you only have one monitor?
I don't even, you know what? I don't think they can see it. I don't think it's gonna work this way. I have 2 monitors up, Brandon. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. I think we have to do it the other way.
And this is why I was show this to me and then screen just capture
Yeah, I'm losing
OBS and just cap OBS.
Say that again.
So just share the screen with me on Discord, right? How we're doing. And then on OBS, screen cap YouTube like you were going to do. Just do both.
Okay, so you can see what I'm sharing right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you can't see OBS right now.
No.
Okay. So I'm
All I can see is Google Chrome.
Okay. And then that's not working. There you go. Okay. So hopefully now you guys can see that. Let me see.
Yeah, they can see it. They're good.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
All right. So anyway, let's just kind of go through the trailer frame by frame. We don't really need audio. I'll have it kind of playing anyway, but actually, I feel like it's loud.
It is on my end at least.
All right, so this is kind of like, I think, the first sort of big thing to consider here.
First kind of big panning shot.
Yeah,
I guess.
and so the big takeaway, there's actually quite a few takeaways just from this one shot. All right, so one of the biggest takeaways I'm taking from here is there's literally a Poke Station, is what I'm calling it. I don't know what it actually is called, but I'm calling it a Poke Station.
It looks like those ones from Pokemon Go.
It's similar,
like,
right? It's like it looks kind of like a Pokestop, right? Except it's within an actual open world environment you can explore in the game. And what you may notice is that there's a green, red, and blue sort of like part of this little shop, right? And if you look carefully here on the advertisement, we can see what appears to be some sort of sandal. So what I believe this is straight up the combination of a Pokemon Center where you can heal your Pokemon, of a Pokemart where you can art items for healing your Pokemon and battling with your Pokemon, you know, like potions and escape ropes, things of that nature, right? The typical items you buy at a Mart. And also where you can buy clothes and accessories. We already know there's customization in this game. That shouldn't come as a shocker. It was in Legends Arceus. It was in Sword and Shield. It was in Sun and Moon. It was in X and Y. Customization is a serious staple now. Should not be a surprise. So we're seeing, I think that all 3 of these things are in this Poke Station. And I think these Poke Stations are basically littered throughout the environment. And they're separated from the towns. I'm not saying there can't be some in a town. I don't know. But my inclination is there's no need for them to be inside. Right. Like, actually, there's literally a town right here. I don't know if can you see my mouse on screen? Is that possible?
I can see it.
Okay, I don't know if
but I'm not sure if they can see it.
I'm not sure. But if you look to the left of the screen, I don't know. I'm confused. Anyways,
I'll check.
regardless,
you can.
Okay, cool. So there is, and by the way, I can't check the chat the way I'm doing this. So if at times you can check the chat for me, that'd be cool. But we don't have to stop every waking moment, but just occasionally. But anyway, you'll see that there's appears to be a town here too. There's a couple houses, right? There's a road leading up to this like castle area in the background, and there's smoke coming from these houses. Like there's actual chimneys. So yes, there's towns that you can explore within the open world. There are Poke Stations that seem to be taking up the role of Pokemon Center, shop, mart, whatever you want to call it, and like clothing stores. Like it's all in one. And they're gonna be littered throughout the environment, which I think is going to streamline the experience. Which I think is great.
See, there's like a beam coming off the top of them, so you can kind of see from afar.
I'm not sure if that's a pole or like a beacon. To your point,
I think it's a light beam.
And if that's the case, that's definitely very Breath of the Wild-esque, where you'll see certain beacons off in the background that you can approach. Now, the question is, first off, I'm not convinced that's the beacon yet. We'll take a look at a few more shots. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. But if it is a beacon, right, it is sort of something that you can see from afar, right? Now, the question is, do you set that beacon from the map, or is it something just kind of there? Or is it even a beacon? It might just be a pole, which still might help with visibility from afar, though, right? I think regardless of whatever that is, it is meant to help visibility from afar. Because maybe you can't see from every single vantage point. If you are on the top of that hill from the other side beyond those trees, you won't be able to see it. So there's value in having something sticking out from there, be it a light or a pole or whatever it is. So that's definitely a good observation there, though. Hopefully we can confirm whether it's a beacon or a pole in a bit. But let's continue on the trailer here. Shots. Yeah, there's more shots. Moving forward here, though. Okay, I'm just going to play and then... All right, so this is kind of interesting. Some things we sort of are addressed already in previous analysis, but here you see the orange shield and the grape shield. These seem to be like the recurring sort of fruit symbology of each respective game, Scarlet and Violet. But what you may notice also in the background is this like churchish castle-like Pokemon place.
Yes.
This, I believe, is meant to be a Pokemon-inspired version of the Sagrada Familia from Spain. We pretty much know for a fact that this game is based off Spain. Then Sagrada Familia is this like epic, amazing, cool sort of church building in Spain.
Nice.
Just look it up. Sagrada Familia. Maybe not everyone knows how to like understand Spanish, but Sagrada, Sagrada, Familia, Familia. It's a really cool like architectural accomplishment. It looks beautiful. But anyways, I think this is kind of based off of that. But there's a few other things that are worthy of noting here that I didn't notice them upon my initial analysis. Like, so you see here, there's a building, but there's a tree sticking out of it. So that's kind of neat. Yeah. Like, I hope we can go up there, and I don't know if we can, but I hope we can.
I don't know.
And there's like what's with this tree thing? You know, that's kind of cool, right? Like, what's going on there? Anyway,
I like when plants are incorporated into buildings and things. I just think it's nice.
Yeah. And actually, there's also this other building here. Not sure if it's a green room or if it's maybe an observatory.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Could be an observatory. Seems more like an observatory than a green room, but hard to say.
It is oddly high up for a green room.
Good point. It's in a perfect position for an observatory. So now we get a good look at a chunk of the world map. I'm sure this is just a piece, but it's pretty interesting to look at. Because one, you can see some buildings here in the background. There's like some sort of tower thing over here. There seems to be a structure over here by the beach. But then there's also some ruins right here in the bottom left of the screen. You obviously see some lakes and trees and hills and things of that nature. But all the way in the back, what does it remind you of, Brandon?
It reminds me of the peak in the sweat peak in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, the Twin Peaks from Breath of the Wild. Exactly, yes. Exactly. So the Breath of the Wild inspirations don't stop with Legends Arceus. They continue on with this game. And they seem to kind of go even further, right? I think there's other things we're going to cover with this analysis that kind of further strengthen the bond between this and Breath of the Wild. But I think it's very clear there's a lot of inspiration here. Not saying they specifically designed this weird sort of structure here to be the Twin Peaks, but it does remind you of it. Now, I don't think
I think
these
the
are
Twin
two
Peaks
mountains,
is
though.
based off of a real mountain, so it could be based off of the same mountain.
Maybe. I don't know of it, but that's an interesting idea. What I was gonna suggest though is that I don't think these are two mountains. I think this is actually a big waterfall.
Oh, you're exactly right. That is a waterfall. I was wondering why. I thought maybe it was just compression or aliasing or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was like jaggy like that. But no, you're 100% right. That is a three-stage waterfall.
Which is pretty darn cool. Maybe we can write it with a magic
Yeah,
pen.
it's big.
Very big.
For it to be that thick, like this far away, like that's a big waterfall, man.
It's a huge structure. Huge. Now notice the logos, right? Scarlet and Violet are different logos. And when we get into legendaries, you'll notice there's some sort of similarity here. But basically, if you look at Scarlet, it's like red scales, and Violet, it's like purple space and stars. Just keep that in mind when we see legendaries in a few minutes. So continuing on here with the trailer. It's a television. Okay. So gotta say,
cool.
love the Professor for Scarlet. This one's okay.
I like both of them.
So let me throw this at you. Do you know the name? Do you know their names?
No.
I'll tell you their names. Her name is Sada, and his name is Turo. Okay.
Mm.
I want to point something else out about Sada. My name is Professor Sada. I'm gonna go frame by frame here. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. I'm not crazy. Wait for that smile. There it is. She's got fangs. Okay. So you may have noticed she has like a tribal necklace. She has like this feathery sort of mane around her coat. She has like some sort of like, she's wearing like more like barbaric tribal like kind of clothing. Her earrings as well. Her hair is more wild. She has fangs. She has more of a wild look to her. And I think that's important to keep in mind. Now, something else I'm going to point out. This game is based off Spain. There are a lot of things that you're going to see throughout this game that are going to have some sort of a Spanish influence. Okay, for example, Fuecoco. That basically stands for Fire Croc, which is the fire crocodile Pokemon that is a starter. And its name is Fuecoco, which that's basically what it is in Spanish. And there's also Spregatito, which is like basically like twig cat. Right? So, like there's clearly some Spanish influence in the naming here. And this extends to the names as well for the professors. Sada seems to be a partial version of Pasada. Pasada means past. Okay?
Ah.
Yeah. Now, let's go on to the other professor. His name is Turo. Turo, as in a smaller version of Futuro, which is future. And notice how he has more of a cleaner, more modern, angular look. His clothes look like come straight out of Tron.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's pretty clear what they're going for here, right? You have barbaric character. You have I don't want to say she looks like a barbarian, but she has barbaric qualities or archaic-like qualities. She literally has fangs. And her name is Sada, which is short for Pasada, which means past. And then you have Turo, short for Futuro, which means future, and he's wearing futuristic clothing.
It's pretty on the nose.
Pretty on the nose, right?
I'm pretty sure there was a rumor or leak like back early in the year.
Duma was actually messaging me about this earlier as well. I would love to pull up that rumor. If any, Brandon, I don't know if anyone in the chat's going to pull it up or knows where to find it. But that's definitely something I would love to sort of take a look at down the road.
Yeah, because there was a leak, I believe, that was talking about it being past versus future. Was there not?
Yeah, I remember that. But let's keep that in mind for now, because this theming will extend beyond just the professors.
Everybody in the chat is just talking about how hot Sada is.
I agree. Anyway, so the other starters here: Spregatito, Quaxley, and Fuecoco. I think they look really good. Now that they're actually like animated, you can see the lighting on them. They're not just like 2D drawings. They look really good.
They do the lightings.
Yeah, it looks really nice. They all look pretty darn good. Like there's some texture to them. There's lighting to them. Like Pokemon this generation do look better than previous generations for the mainline games. Like I think that's clearly established.
They look a lot less plasticky and like one material. They have like a nuance to the materials in them, which looks a lot better.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's nice.
Yeah.
And we got a good look at Sprigatito, Quaxly, Quackoko. That's a good looking orange, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, I did notice that when I was watching. Some of the textures, I think the textures in general have been improved, because in the original trailer, there were some parts that looked like really bad.
There are some very nice visual effects we're seeing.
Yeah. In the original trailer, there were some textures that straight up looked like N64 or GameCube era. They were bad.
Like
they look a lot more polished.
Take a look at his eyes. His eyes are closed right here, but you can still see how like there's depth to them even when closed.
Yeah.
That's nice, right? But also you love bringing this up in different things, but there's like a nice depth like sort of depth of field, sort like of blurred effect. The bokeh thing. It looks nice, right? There's a nice like focus in the foreground and blur in the background. It's nice. And you just take a look. We've seen. Okay, I jumped way too far ahead, but then you take a look at her, right? Like she's got like you look at from a visual perspective, right? Like the hair there's a lot more detail to the hair. The actual like shirt has some legitimate texture to it. I mean, you can also get a good look at the. I mean, when we were building in the background, it has actually like a pretty good looking texture as well.
Toro's beard had like a nice texture to it. I thought that looked good.
Yeah. Like there is more detail to these characters than we've seen in previous Pokemon games. Like that is clear.
They look good. They're of course they're stylized. They're not hyper realistic.
No,
but for the style they're going for, they have a good a high quality amount of detail.
It's more realistic than previous Pokemon games, but you
can see like the material work on like the backpack is great. Like,
you know what it kind of reminds me of?
Very good, and the metal on the zipper.
The player models almost remind me a little bit of Detective Pikachu player models. Like Detective Pikachu kind of took a more of a natural sort of look, and these characters seem to be closer to that. Like they're more like they have more realistic proportions than standard.
The shading on the characters is also really good.
The lighting in general is just substantially better than any previous Pokemon game, mainline game.
Yeah, I mean, in that opening shot when we were talking about the mountain with the waterfall, you can see like the sun like glinting off of the water, which looks so much better. The distant views in this game look so much better than Arceus. Arceus looked like so bad at a distance. I have to say, they had this like strange tiling effect to everything.
Yeah, and I still feel like I see that to some extent in this game, but it's not. It's to a lesser degree.
Yeah, but they add a lot of things. Like in the overview shot, we can see like fog.
There's more going on for sure. There's been some substantial jumps. I mean, this is Nimona. She's a friend of yours who'll be a guide. You will be doing battles with her.
I like that she dyed just like the tips of her hair.
I think it looks cool. I think there could be some suggestion of her character, because if she's green, right, like Scarlet is red, Violet is blue, or like orangish red, and then bluish purple. Like that, she could be kind of like an in between for both games.
Yeah,
but I mean, sense. She's clearly more detailed than previous characters we've seen in most other games. She's got freckles and like a textured shirt, and look at her like gauntlet. It looks pretty cool. They're just, and look how animated she is. Like, just look at her. Yeah, I did notice the animations in general are pretty good. Yeah, that's that. I mean, this is you see how her hair bounces around and how her facial expressions change.
Like in the other Pokemon games, there'd be some cutscenes. The characters would just like spin 360 around, like no animation at all.
Like that's a very natural look.
You can see like the secondary movement of her hair bobbing up and down as she does. Like obviously, we're not looking at it right now, but you saw.
Yeah. I'm kind of trying to take a look at our...
The Pokemon have nice animations, too. We saw, like, we were talking about... I don't remember the name. The one that looks like a weird apple crocodile.
Fuecoco?
Yeah, for Coco. He's some nice animations. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, but look at the protagonist. Like even this, like
Yeah, that wind up.
there's some
Like she's
deep.
gonna throw
I mean, you look
a
at the
dang like
you look at the tie is moving, right? Her
baseball.
braid is moving. You'll see there's like a
Yeah,
like a
the
little
amount of
bit of a
secondary animations is great.
the zipper there is also moving too. Like there's some like realistic movement of like hanging objects on the character, which is pretty cool. And then
That's
the
what I'm
Pokeball looks
referring to
great
when I
too.
say secondary motion. If anybody is wondering,
I
that's just
figured
kind of
that.
what that's called. I think most people probably did, but I thought I'd say
Yeah. Okay, so I mean
that's
that's
just typically what people call it.
I'm gonna press play. Well, actually, so this is actually a good look, a closer look at the Poke Station. So remember how I said there was a sandal? Still a sandal. It's an advertisement, and we still see that green, red, and blue. It just makes me feel more confident that there is definitely
There's some kind of speaker system too. You notice that?
Oh yeah. So maybe they can announce things for players. I mean, there's a little table, right? I think the idea here is that trainers will meet up. These are like trainer meeting spots, you know?
Yeah.
And if there's a speaker, maybe that it's playing like the Pokemon Center music or whatever the theming would be. I'm trying to see if I can get a good look at like the top of this station. That's Palmy. It's one of the new Pokemon. It's an electric type. It's cute.
Adorable.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I want to go back to this. Right here, you can actually see Quillfish, which is interesting. And actually, you were mentioning the speaker. You see this black thing to the left? That's either A, a speaker, or B, a random tire.
Yeah, I think that's a speaker.
So it could the suggestion could be that they're speaking on Quillfish here for some. Maybe it's a commercial of Quillfish something, you know. And then also you take a look at this, right? You take a look at this right here. To see this yellow square or rectangle.
Yeah,
there's like a globe.
That looks like an internet kind of thing to me.
Yeah, it does. So I wonder what the implication is by that. Does that suggest like your online status?
Because obviously there's that guy you see in the trailer.
We're gonna see that in a moment
science
here.
is amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably where you go if you want to meet up online. Start like a online lobby.
I'm gonna just point out we can actually see her nails.
Oh yeah.
Which that's just an attention to detail that we have not seen in a lot of Pokemon games.
Her nails have this nice like glossy material compared to her skin.
Like they actually look like nails. They don't look creepy and weird. Yeah. They just look like normal nails, which is kind of surprising. Okay, so here this looks less like a beacon and more like a pole.
Yeah, it does.
Now that doesn't mean there can't be a light at the top of the pole though that perhaps lights up at night. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe. That's definitely in the cards. And I do feel like the terrain here does feel kind of Breath of the Wild-esque. I wouldn't be surprised if the Monolith Soft team helped out a little bit with this game too.
It probably.
Yeah, would not shock me. Get a good look at the. Okay, let's take a look at this. Do not pay attention to the Pokemon, but pay attention to the ad moving in the background. The ads change. Now, you know, on the note of animations, the animation looks fine. Like, this is good. But there's also new stuff, right? This feels very Legends Arceus-like. We don't know for a fact if this is exactly like Legends Arceus, because there's some camera trickery happening here. We don't know if this is... We're not entirely sure how exactly it's going to play yet. I'm hopefully find out next week during Nintendo Treehouse with some Scarlet and Violet gameplay. But I do think one thing is clear though, even if it doesn't play exactly like Legends Arceus where you can move around and move the camera around during combat, it still happens within the same overworld you're exploring. That much is clear.
Yeah,
because
that is clear.
You're not gonna. This is not a stock background like it is in Sword and Shield. This is legitimately where you chose to have a battle right outside these city gates, right next to a Poke Station.
Right.
And by the way, given that the Poke Station is right outside the city gates, I think that is highly suggestive that there probably won't be a Poke Station inside the city, but also it may depend on how big the city is, because in Sword and Shield there were some cities had 2 or 3 Pokemon centers within it, depending how big it was.
The Poke Stations might also serve as like teleportation spots.
They could.
Like
good point.
Towers,
yes,
so there could be one in the city as well.
There could be a lot of them. That's a really good point, Brandon. They could be fast travel spots. Very interesting point.
That's the word, fast travel. Yes.
And maybe there's like a Pokemon that comes and picks you up between them, perhaps. as like the lore exploration for the fast travel, as opposed to just teleporting, or maybe it's just teleporting. Like
you could just teleport through. Maybe they have some kind of teleport.
Previous
feature.
Pokemon games use fly, right?
I would assume that would be there.
But this is also an awesome shot right here. Why is it awesome to me personally? Because this is the first time we are seeing a full open world Pokemon game, and there being routes with actual clear signs in 3D. Because yes, Sword and Shield had open areas. Yes, Sword and Shield had routes in 3D that you could explore, but the route areas were not open. You didn't have a camera you could control. There was a locked camera from a locked perspective. They were never like this, where you could run circles around a sign and turn your camera around and look in various ways. This is the first time we've seen the Pokemon world realized in this way, and to me that's very exciting. Because these are legitimate routes within an open world. So this is a legitimate open world game. Well, from what we've seen from what they're claiming and from what we're seeing. Know. I mean, they literally told us it's open world, right? So the only real hesitance here is there are some areas that aren't as open as we'd like them to be.
I think when we're going to go to the website, but I'm pretty sure. The website.
Oh yeah, there's some good details on that website.
Yeah, it straight up says like you can go to any of the gyms in any order or something like that.
Not exactly, but kind of.
Not exactly.
We will get to that. Yeah.
We're gonna get to that one.
Yeah. So you can see just leaves flying in the background. So this is a cool part here where they're basically confirming that there's a couple things that are really cool happening in this shot right here. So
follow Pokemon.
Yes, Pokemon are following you around, but also notice something. It's not the Pokemon following you around in an awkward, clearly, unnatural way straight behind you.
Right.
The Pokemon's actually running slightly behind the character to the side. And pay attention to your friends that you're approaching here. They're all standing in a slightly different way that appears natural.
True. So they're all different distances from each other slightly. They're not like stock, like the exact same. Yeah, you can tell that it's not like the old games, I guess I should say.
Right. So it's better than the old games, right? So this is confirmation that from the get-go, day one, in a mainline Pokemon game, we are going to have Pokemon following you around. We have had Pokemon following you around before, but it's never been in a new generation from the get-go initially. So the first time we saw it following Pokemon was Pokemon Yellow with Pikachu, and only Pikachu. And then after that, I think we had to wait. Do they have it in Crystal? I'm not sure. But they did have it in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, a remake. And Pokemon could follow you around there, but keep in mind, these were pixels, right? So it was a little different, but it was really cool. But still, it was a grid-like structure. Things didn't have to move naturally because it was a pixelized grid-like world, right? But then we moved to 3D. We did see following Pokemon return in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Wasn't supernatural, but it was neat to see. Then in
Sword and Shield?
In Sword and Shield, we saw following Pokemon, but those following Pokemon were not made available from the get-go. They were made available in the DLC, and they moved around very unnaturally. And then in Legends Arceus, you could send out Pokemon and interact with them, but I'm struggling to remember if they could even follow you around.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. You could send them out, and they would do stuff, but if you ran away far enough, they would just come back to your Pokeball. So it's cool that you could send out Pokemon and interact with them whenever you wanted, but they wouldn't actually follow you. So here, the Pokemon are following you around, but also it looks like you can have your Pokemon just kind of hang out around you in a natural way.
Coco seems to just be doing some kind of natural idle animation over there.
Right, so it may be the case that if you're just standing around, the Pokemon will start to sort of do its kind of own thing for a little bit. So that's really exciting, and it shows that they've actually progressed with Pokemon following around. Now, is this a big deal? I mean, it's going to add to the immersion at least. It's going to be a neat thing to see, and I think it's important. But then the other big thing here is, 4-player cooperative play throughout your adventure. That's huge. Can you imagine an open world game that's a full-on single-player adventure that you can play with your friends, thus no longer being a single-player adventure? That's what this is. That's a big deal. This is something we want like to see in like Xenoblade, for example. And if they were doing it in Xenoblade, it would just be obscene. Game. But they're doing it here in Pokemon. And that's a big, big deal. It's awesome. So, to what extent can you interact with each other? Well, here we can clearly see they're doing animations towards each other. They can probably battle each other. They can probably trade with each other. But what do they do beyond that? And that we don't know yet. That's what I want to kind of find out and figure out. My speculation is that there will be more powerful Pokemon that you will have to battle, be it Alpha Pokemon or probably not Dynamax with something similar, some sort of boss-like Pokemon where you can team up together, do a raid battle, and there are benefits to fighting together. Maybe there's even benefits to exploring environments together, and maybe you can get better treasure together. So I am hoping there are things like that, perhaps even incorporate some mini games as well.
I'm hoping that the game allows you to do pretty much everything co-op. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if even, like, the gyms are co-op. Do we even have confirmation that there are gyms? I know there's probably going to be some gym-like thing, but are they actually called gyms?
We don't have hard confirmation of gyms yet. We have not seen a gym leader yet. We have not seen badges yet. There has been no...
change those up to work better with co-op.
I don't know how that's going to work quite yet, but there is some interesting details that we're going to get to in a bit that I think offer some perspective there. I do want to kind of get through the trailer, though.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered some of the main points here. We're just kind of going through the footage, which looks nice. Notice how they're exploring completely different parts of the world.
Really great.
It's an improvement. But I mean, you look here, clearly you see some different designs. Obviously, there's customization.
Different biomes.
Yeah, a lot of different biomes, and they're all exploring these areas at the same time. Options. Yeah, there's a lot of nice new hair options. That's another good point there. But the main point I want to focus on here is just that, yeah, you can. I mean, that's what the point of this trailer. They're showing you exploring different parts of the world at the same time. So that's cool. You're basically playing the adventure together, even though you're not necessarily together in this moment, but you could be if you choose to be. There's small of... I don't think we see clearly the top... See, we still don't see the top... We see that there's still a pole, right? Yeah. I think it's pretty clear it's a pole at this point, not a light.
I think it is probably a pole, yeah.
Yeah, but it could light up at night, so, you know.
The shading is not uniform enough for it to be a beam of light, I think.
Yeah, you see here, there's like these towers in the background, maybe windmills.
I want to see the windmills again. I want to see if they lag as much as before.
Oh wait, we do get actually good. Hold on, Brandon. Check this out. There we go. We finally get it. We can see the top of it. So
there's a pole with some kind of
what appears to be like a light Pokeball. So it is meant to sort of highlight it from afar. And I wouldn't be surprised if this does legitimately light up even brighter, or at least contrast better with the sky at night. Like I think that's a pretty fair prediction.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Pokeball looks nice. That's a nice little animation there. Yeah, at this point, I mean, Lechonk is cool. Just a cute little Pokemon.
Lechonk is the best.
Lechonk is a beast. Here we do see another shot of the battling. Now, what's interesting about this is that you'll notice the camera is panning in what appears to be more like a Sword and Shield style, not like Arceus, where it's controllable.
Definitely seems like you're not going to be able to move around. Which, honestly, I don't even know if that's a big deal.
No, it's not necessarily even a good thing. We'll see, right? Maybe you can still. I think the biggest thing is just being able to do battles within the same environment you're exploring.
Yes, that is the big thing. Like, I never even asked. I don't think anybody really asked to be able to move around during battles. I don't think that was something.
No, that was just kind of like a neat little thing.
Added.
Yeah. No, we never asked. We wanted a camera you can move around and look at things, but we didn't expect that during battle necessarily. It's just kind of a nice thing to see. So we'll see if you can move around the camera here, but it does look like there's a natural camera panning that is not something that the player is doing themselves.
Maybe that just happens naturally if you decide not to touch the
maybe if you don't move it around, it resets to an automatic camera, but you can choose to move it if you can. And I think that actually would be the best way to do it. but we'll see, you know, what actually ends up happening. If there's no movable camera, I don't think it's the end of the world. It might be better for most people because I think some people it just gets kind of messy to look at things.
Probably better to focus and get the most cinematic angle on the Pokemon's moves and stuff if you have a more traditional camera.
Yeah. Looking here though, everything else seems kind of par for the course. You can see how many Pokemon you have, your life, your name, your gender, level. Here, there's the battle options, switching to other Pokemon options, item options, and running away. Here it says Y to check status, so like that's like to check like if you raise your stats or
if there's
like
a
sunlight.
button for run, I feel like you definitely can't walk around then. Because what's the point of the run option? Was there a run option in Arceus at all?
I believe there was, but you could also just run away naturally. It was one or the other. It's kind of like disengage when you're in Xenoblade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we see some Pokemon here to the side. That's the flower things that Flabébé, if I remember correctly.
I love that they're just the correct size.
Yeah, proportion.
They're these tiny little Pokemon. Like in Sword and Shield, like like within reason, there were different sizes. Like if there's a Pokemon was giant, obviously it'd be bigger than a small Pokemon. But like Pokemon weren't really
they were not appropriately sized. And I think Dynamax kind of threw that for a loop because they had to keep that into consideration. Like Dynamax Wailord is basically normal Wailord. Yeah. But yeah, so that's a good point.
Open world Pokemon makes Wailord actually like viable as his full size.
Yeah, I kind of want to see Wailord now. We'll see if it happens. Looking here, you see the boy. It does seem to be kind of like the traditional trainer that let you lock eyes, and there you go.
Yeah.
So the weird thing is, if you look carefully, right, the eyes actually pass you at this distance. See the boy's looking at the root, and he turns to the grass around here. So you're fairly close, and he doesn't lock eyes yet. You have to be like right in front of him, and this is assuming you don't press A on him. I think. That's probably what happens.
There's several frames where he is locked onto you. It definitely seems like he engaged. So that's a lot of frames before.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to. Did it freeze him up?
I don't know. It took him a long while to put up that exclamation point.
Takes him the character a second to react to it too.
Yeah. So. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work, but this does seem maybe there's probably going to be some optimization, before the game actually comes out. That could be why it looks a little off, but I guess we'll see. Okay, I don't think there's much else to say here besides cute Pokemon. It's the baby Dreadnought, and here we get
it better.
Yeah, we get a good look. There's actual people there, and I think
we can see this. Like a shopping bag symbol, a Pokemon symbol, and some kind of green. I can't tell. There's too much compression on my end.
Oh, well, I mean, so the red one I'm pretty sure is just for healing. The blue one I'm going to assume is the Pokemon stop.
It looks like a shopping bag.
It might be a shopping bag. And the green one might be for clothes. I mean, that's my theory, right?
Yeah.
That could be a shirt. Yeah. That could be a shirt. I think that's a shirt. I think this is a Pokeball, and you could be right. That might be a bag. So bag as in for Mart, right, where you buy Pokeballs, potions, healing your Pokemon, buying
You
clothes.
can definitely see the healing station above the red one. And then you can see the ladies also dressed in red. And then the blue, there's the guy dressed in blue. And then for the green one, there's just like this circular vending machine, maybe?
There's a green one behind it, too. So, hard to say. And there's some tables and chairs. So, neat. But, yeah, I mean, I think it pretty much just further validates our opinion on what it is. I will point out here, there's this beach advertisement, and it looks like there's like a yellow airplane. So I don't know if there's like a plane that takes you to a beach, or that's just sort of like hint, just like paying homage to Alola. It might be that. Okay, a lot of moving foliage. That's a trade animation, like for sure.
Yep. Oh yeah.
One cool little thing here. I went too far ahead. Colosso looking cool inside a cave. Just a good look at some ruins right there. Just something to point out.
Oh yeah.
Okay, boxes, beach. The box doesn't have a good texture, but whatever. These Pokemon look good. Kyogre looks fine. Some nighttime look. Talonflame's animation looks pretty good. So this, I believe, is actually a grass gym. Why? Because it's green. Also because there's flowers. Also because there's a grassy field behind it. Also because there's a giant sunflower thing that may or may not be Sunflora in a pot. So I think it's a gym.
There's a stairway going down under?
Yes, there is. Why? I don't know. Maybe you start lower. Maybe this is a beginning fight. Maybe there's something else there. There's definitely something to this for sure, but I'm not sure what. I wonder if these are hints towards other gyms. Because is it just like a desert area? Well, if you look carefully...
There's like a fire symbol.
This might be a gym. This might be a gym. You want to know why I think it might be a gym? And I could be totally mistaken on this. I take it back. I don't think it's a gym. The only reason I was debating if it was a gym is because at first I was debating if this was like an arena that was like low ground, and you see like a fence here. But it looks like you can clearly kind of walk up here, and this might even be like a light or something. And I'm not sure, but there's obviously some sort of Pokemon here. We don't know what though. I wonder if we can tell. No, we can't. We don't know what this is. Unless it's the last frame, it shows something. Let's see. What do you think? Are we going to see anything, Brandon?
I didn't think.
Okay, I see dirt. Anything. I see more dirt. I see more dirt. More dirt.
Even more dirt.
More dirt.
Give me more.
More dirt.
More.
More dirt. More dirt. More dirt. Wait, there's
more
something.
Door. More door.
Nope, they covered it. We'll never know until later. Watch it just be like Diglett. Alright. Oh, that's a cool.
They seem to be referencing 3 different gyms there. Some kind of like fire gym on the right, grass gym, and the earth gym.
Yeah.
There's a tower. There's a mighty.
It could be a weird type of gym. Yeah, and so an interesting point. An
intimidating tower.
So okay, consider this, Brandon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
To the left here, we do see that desert area, and there is a tower that has varying levels. Okay. And this, what I assume is a grass gym. There is a staircase going down, but there's also what appears to be a staircase going up right next to this windmill.
You're right.
So maybe they are all gyms, and all the gyms are just themed very differently. They're not going to all look the same, right? They're not going to all look like this one right here. Maybe this one starts here and you have to build up to this tower, and it's just kind of like a gauntlet building up to the top each time. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe. The other one's just a flag. So remember how you were talking about there being like kind of like a square texture you could see that didn't look good? Wait for it. Like here you can kind of see, well, when the grass up close, the grass looks a little simplistic. Like here you can kind of see more of a simpler texture.
Oh, the tiling is what I was saying.
Yeah, the tiling.
They seem to do a lot of mip mapping in the distance, though.
But take a look at this. There's another town here in the background that's like a bunch of red houses. So that's kind of neat. And Pikachu does have some depth here.
Your camera was covering it.
Oh, sorry. But
it's my end. I can move it around.
Pikachu's eyeballs have some depth, or eyelids.
Yeah. The materials on it look nice too. The shading is good.
Now we're gonna see a good look at our legendaries here. All right, this is just a CGI trailer. There's really not much to break down here until we get a look at our legendaries. Look at the rock.
I feel like Pokemon Company really does themselves a disservice
when they show things that look so cool.
Super insane CGI trailers.
Notice the red scales and the gills and the turbo engine jets. So this is Koraidon. Some people are theorizing that he's a motorcycle because he has like a black rubbery
that does
thing.
Look like
both sides
tire.
They look kind of like tires, right? And what's interesting, this one has turbo jets.
Like jets.
So remember how I was talking about how there's pasada and futuro, past and future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you take a look at our new legendary Pokemon, one seems to be sort of like a very tribal, archaic style Pokemon, while another one has like space lightning and turbo jets.
Yeah.
And we'll get another look at them here. Also, people have acknowledged the shape of this to be questionable, but I'm not gonna say much beyond that. I think they look epic, just for the record.
Yeah.
These are some of my favorite legendaries.
Look at his
ever,
eyes. His eyes are pixelated.
His eyes are pixelated. He has like a carbon sort of fiber mouth or something. It's
He's
like
got that
a joint.
dot matrix look.
Yeah.
Like CRT.
He's got the space and the lightning there. And then here he's got like feathers, like very like ancient dinosaur kind of like,
Yeah.
you know. But what's interesting though is that we already noted how Koredan has like tire-like appendages. This one has turbojets. So the reason I think this is interesting is because I am speculating that both these Pokemon you will be able to ride throughout the open world environment in Scarlet and Violet. And I think it's going to be basically kind of like Latios and Latios in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, where you could fly around in an openish environment in there.
Nice.
Except that was like kind of like you would fly around in this open environment and then you fly down and actually go into the actual world you explore. So it was kind of a little different. This would actually be you're literally riding around. And I doubt that with Miraidon you fly and with Koraidon you just drive. I think it'll be kind of more like a low riding, like hovering jet motorcycle. And this one is just like, you know, a motorcycle. That's my theory, at least. No, I don't know if this spins though, so we'll see. Maybe they both just kind of fly. But it's just interesting that they both seem to be very mobile. So I do think riding around is gonna. It makes sense though, because the focus of this game,
are really cool.
Yeah, they're epic. But
probably the coolest legendaries in a while.
I really like them. But the point I just want to really harp on here is just that the focus of this game is open world. So what do they do with their two legendaries? They make them motorcycles. So, you know, I'm just pointing that out. They may not be motorcycles, but I have a hunch that they are going to be Pokemon you can literally ride very quickly throughout the open world late game.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it yet, you heard it here first. Oh, look at that. Their faces changed. I haven't noticed that before. Like Korean's face changes.
I forget the names. The one on the right. His face is literally like carbon fiber and metal and glass. Like, he's not an organic creature, or it's not an organic creature.
This is Pokemon.
I wonder if that will go into like the lore though. If this is like
if he's artificially created,
an artificially created Pokemon.
I don't know if they'll get into that. This is not a good look at them. They just both look sick. They both look really cool.
Look awesome. Oh, if the huge like tendril things.
Yeah.
Hair braid things, whatever they are.
I'm telling you, you're gonna grab those tendrils and ride it like a crazy, like like maybe the actual chest doesn't actually move, but maybe it like sort of grinds against the floor, almost like a motorcycle, and his feet just move around really quickly, and you're gonna ride him. And then the other one has turbo jets, like he's gonna fly. He's gonna like hover at least. I believe it. They look awesome. But let's continue on with the trailer here. They both just look so good. Awesome looking books. The box art for this game is actually, I think, a lot better than Sword and Shield, even though it's still pretty basic. But it's like the art's just a lot nicer in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sword and Shield seem more basic by comparison, even though this is still kind of simplistic, but it's fine for me. Now, people have been sort of questioning what this is. Like, you have like this sort of like space-time environment, I would want to say, where it's like glass sort of moving or diamonds or whatever, and you see the Pokeball fly through. What does this mean? People are not sure. People are not sure. I think it could be related to something time related, because we already have clear themes of past and future, right? You have the professors with the names of past and future. You have these Pokemon. One is very tribal, archaic, seeming to be from the past. And you have this other Pokemon that's very futuristic with space and turbojets. I think there's clearly a theming of past and future for these games.
Oh yeah.
And something else that makes this interesting is because we are just coming off of Legends Arceus, which takes place in the past. How do you get these Pokemon from the past? Well, perhaps there's some level of time travel in Scarlet and Violet, which allow you to import these Hisuian Pokemon from a time ago into that world. But with that in mind, they need parity, right? So where do you get the future Pokemon? Well, maybe those are Ultra Beasts, for example, from Sun and Moon. So the previous generation. This would not shock me at all. But let's go on to the Pokemon website. Well, before we do, what I want to do is kind of come back to the podcast for a moment. I'm gonna stop screen sharing just for a bit, just so I can kind of come back here and just check in with the chat, see what people are thinking about how people feel about what we just talked about, and then we'll come back to the website to go into more detail on what we saw. So let's see here. Let's check it out. Okay. All right. What are you guys saying here? There's probably quite a few different things. I'm going to focus on the ads right now so we can, in the interest of time, guys, because things are running a little late. All right, let's see here. Okay. Actually, I'll turn on the background music too again. Okay. Anyway. Let's see. Your name with when you were talking about fitness boxing earlier, I had a quick question. Have you worn boxing gloves before? I have worn boxing gloves before. I am not a boxer though, so I'm not going to pretend to be, but I have worn boxing gloves before.
I have never boxed, but yes, I have worn boxing gloves. Never hit anybody with it.
Wait, Paul Dunson and Tone just made a tweet about Breath of the Wild?
I saw that earlier. Apparently it was nothing.
Did they actually?
They tweeted out, I forget what he said. Somebody in the chat just said it was like something, it was a nothing burger.
You can redeem your points. Oh my god. Okay, thanks. Moving on. Were you guys actually able to see? I'm seeing someone said they couldn't see it. I guess at some point
that was way back before we got it working.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's see here. Duplex 12. Honestly, based on the trailer, I don't think one of those booths are for closing, but a booth said the trade meetup with your friends for clout. We saw two meet up at one of those stops. I think it could be a combination of those things. I thought that was
the yellow screen with the globe.
It could be all of those.
Kind of that Wi-Fi look to it.
I mean, is your argument though that maybe it is a Pokemart and a Pokemon Center, but the third option isn't close, but just multiplayer stuff? That's a valid argument.
The green option, which is separate from the yellow screen.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. The yellow screen could just be a random advertisement, though. So
it didn't look like it, though.
Let's see here. Just going through the chat. I'm probably gonna focus. Like I said, I'm gonna focus on ads. Yeah, Jean-Claude Namona wear a glove that might tie with the main mechanic. Maybe, or it could just be her looking cool. Right?
I think it's that one.
Jean-Carl is adding me. Will the gym scale with your Pokemon levels? I think so, but more on that a little bit, because that kind of ties into the website.
With the amount of gyms that you have.
I mean, so spoiler. In the website, which we're going to get to in a moment, there's a part that says that you can kind of explore the world how you choose to. I'm paraphrasing. And the implication of that is that also means that you can do gyms out of order, assuming there are even gyms. We don't know what there's going to be, but it seems like there's going to be gyms. So if you're going to be able to do gyms out of order, then it probably makes sense to have gyms to scale up to where you are at in the game. So I don't think it has to be like something so complicated where like they look at what your levels are amongst all your Pokemon and then there you go, or how many hours you've played. It could be something as simple as, how many badges do you currently have? Oh, you have 0 badges. Therefore, whatever gym you go up against, it's all going to be first evolution Pokemon, and everything's going to be in the teens, right? If you have 3 badges, okay, you're going to be in the mid-20s, and there's going to be some Pokemon that are evolved, right? Oh, you have 7 badges? Okay, everything's going to be basically fully evolved. Some of these Pokemon are going to have items. The AI is going to be a little bit better. Like, there's going to be some, I think that's how it'll be scaled, simply based on what key items you've already acquired. I think it's the easiest way to do it. I think
so.
it makes tons of sense, and I actually think it adds a lot of replayability to the game, because then you might see different Pokemon or strategies from different gym leaders based on what you choose to explore first, so the next time you play through, you may get a different experience, and I think that's really cool.
True, yeah.
So that's what I'm sort of thinking, but we'll get more to that in a bit. So let's see here. Elemental Hero, Adamy, do you think Bandai had done some work on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? And do you think we'll still see a Pokemon Presents this month since Summer Game Fest is coming soon? I don't think Bandai Namco has done any work for Pokemon. I don't...
As far as I'm aware.
I mean, okay, so Bandai, they did work on Pokémon Tournament, and they did work on Pokemon Stadium, the new one. They
Pokemon Snap, you mean?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Pokemon Snap,
New Pokemon Stadium? When was... I don't know.
Not yet. It doesn't exist. I want it to, though. Yeah, so they've worked on some pretty good Pokemon spin-offs. I don't think that they helped for Scarlet and Violet necessarily. I think they're just separate. Now, there is Creatures Inc., right? Which is like, if I'm not mistaken, they're responsible for the actual like player models or character models of the Pokemon. And Creatures Inc. distributes these Pokemon to whoever's sort of developing Pokemon games, right? And they can do individual work on those creatures. So it may be the case that Bandai Namco took updated models from Creatures Inc. and Game Freak is also taking those models from Creatures Inc. as well. I don't understand exactly how it works, but I think it would be something to that effect where they have these Pokemon models and they're kind of continuously updating them, and it may take sort of like what they're at their core, and then they may rework them a little bit for a particular game. But I don't think it's a situation where Bandai Namco did such great work with Pokemon Tournament and or new Pokemon Snap and then gave those Pokemon to Game Freak to make. I think
the Pokemon Tournament models have been used in any other game.
No, but I think it's probably more having to do with new Pokemon Snap, the question, because those Pokemon look pretty good.
I'd have to compare them to this new game, but they are updated in similar ways. Like they have much better lighting and materials and things than like the games. But I don't know if they're like the same models and materials as what's in this one, or if it's different. I'd imagine it's different.
Yeah. Diva says, doesn't look like there will be any live catching. Yeah, we're not sure on that one. There's nothing clearly live catching, but it may be instantaneous though.
I think live catching was probably in the game because catching Pokemon is kind of like the biggest part of Arceus.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I guess the difference is with live catching, you can just chuck balls all willy-nilly. In Scarlet and Violet, you might just have to throw one. Now, I just wonder, can you throw one and does that initiate the battle? Or do you have to approach the Pokemon and that's when the battle initiates and that's when you can throw a ball? We'll have to see on that. Because it could be the case that there could be camera tricks involved, is my point. Like, we're not entirely sure yet, 100%, at least from what I've seen, which way it goes. But I am thinking that it is probably maybe more like you have to approach the Pokemon and then the battle initiates, but it's very quick. So maybe there is no live catching, but I don't know. I'm not convinced either way yet. This is the main point I'm making, but I'm leaning more towards what you're suggesting. Matthew T. Fields, we need all 18 gyms. Man, that'd be cool. If there were all 18 gyms and they did something like more epic and grand in that way, that would be so cool. I hope that's the case. I don't know how that would work, but I would love to see something like that. That'd be really cool to see. But only 8 badges will be enough. It'll be weird to see how they handle that, but I would love to see it. There's a lot more characters to work to make though, so I'm not sure. They did have... I'm trying to remember. I mean, they basically had 18 different types represented in Sword and Shield in some way, even though you couldn't actually fight all of them. And there were certain gyms that were available in different versions, so they may do something like that in Scarlet and Violet as well. They already have different professors, so. I got another super chat from Taker610. Thank you very much, Taker, for another $2 super chat there. Very much appreciated. You have refuel Violet Legendary like Master Cycle. You have to refuel Violet Legendary like the Master Cycle. What if you have to refuel them? That'd be funny. Maybe they have to eat berries or something, or poffins. That's a neat idea. Elemental Hero added me. Do you think Legends Arceus will be more connected with the time travel, and this wormhole will bring out both Arceus, Palkia Dialga, and the Ultra Beast and Hoop of their powers? Well, we do see those space-time distortion areas in Legends Arceus. That is in the past, and in order for it to make sense for us to see the Hisuian Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, I think there will have to be some level of time travel or space-time distortion. And with that in mind, it also does somewhat link it to the Ultra Beasts, which do go through wormholes as well. They're like in parallel universes. All of this could be related. And there may be a story explanation for how we can access these other Pokemon from different areas, times, or universes. So, maybe. Oh, like, you mean like their powers? I don't know. So, yeah, because they do have, like, spatial and time powers. I don't know if they're going to be related. I don't know if they're necessarily the focus this time around. So, I don't know if we're going to be worrying too much about their powers. Maybe they're mentioned. I do think there's going to be something to do with past and future and time travel to some extent. And maybe also space-time distortion. But I don't think it's going to be so big that, like, there's going to be, like, plot points with Palkia and Dialga. I mean, they have done the Hoopa thing already, which allows for portals from other realms so you can access different Pokemon. They may still do that, but I don't think it's going to be like a major plot point. It may simply be it's like a story contrivance, so yeah, where you can access all the Pokemon, all these different legendaries from different games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Megaton Menace, which version are you leaning towards? Scarlet. I just like the clothes more, and also Sada's cooler than Tudo.
I'm towards Violet. I like the legendary.
I want both.
Cool.
I think they're both cool. But I
like Toro too. He's cool.
I side more with Koredan and Sada.
Plus, I'm more of a blue guy.
I'm more of a red guy. So I mean, that's pretty much it. There you go.
You're wearing a blue shirt, and my shirt you can't see it right now because I turned the camera off because I was looking at the comments. But it's got red on it.
Ah.
So what does this say about the duality of man?
I wear red more than I wear blue, and this is actually purple, but that does fit the violet.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't always wear red, so you know, what color is my underwear? I'm not gonna reveal that. It's not red though.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe multiple gyms. Okay, so let's get to the website. Let's get to the website.
Cool.
And go over a few more details here. This one I could just put on the stream, right? Like I normally do.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Let me get it ready. Wrong one. Okay. There we go. You guys should be able to see it now. So we were getting another nice look at Koredan and Miraidon. Some really nice concept art there. Brandon, I know there's a delay, so I'll like kind of wait a little bit.
I can see it.
Yeah. The delay is like what, like 2 or 3 seconds? It doesn't seem to be that significant.
It's like 8.
Okay, whatever. 3, 4, 17. Anyway, just another look at them. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking there, but it does look good. Game is coming out November 18th, which is kind of expected. The website looks nice. More shots, just more like glimpses of the trailer. I'm not going to focus on the Pokemon descriptions in the interest of time. They don't really say anything crazy. They're neat descriptions that I definitely recommend you check out, but there's nothing that's going to like really like tell you too much more about the game, just like the individual Pokemon itself. Sure. It's a nice attention to detail, but I don't think it's, again, for the sake of this discussion, I don't think it's necessary. I don't know if this shot's in the trailer. It might be, but this looks pretty cool.
I like how they straight up just say that they're open world. It's nice.
Yeah. The world of Pokemon has evolved. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the first open world RPGs in the Pokemon series. As you enjoy the hallmarks of this series, meeting, teaming up with, battling, training, and trading Pokemon, you'll be able to immerse yourself in a newly evolved adventure. So what's cool here, I mean, they said this with the first trailer, but they're just sort of reiterating, this is the first open world. So that means that they didn't consider Sword and Shield open world, they didn't consider Legends Arceus open world, and they weren't. This is truly open world. So the fact that they're making that distinction is strongly suggestive that it's on a whole other level from previous games. And I mean, that's pretty evident from what we've seen so far. So,
for sure.
The Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon games are newest chapters in the Pokemon series are coming to the Switch later this year. With these new titles, the Pokemon series takes a new evolutionary step, allowing you to explore freely in a richly expressed open world. So note the freely part here. That's very important. So the world of Pokemon has evolved. They offer an open world experience that only the Pokemon series can deliver, one welcoming even to newcomers to the series. So I think it's important to note, because Legends Arceus definitely was a bit of a difficulty spike compared to other Pokemon games. I think the difficulty is going to kind of dip down a bit, and it's going to probably be more in line with other Pokemon games. That isn't to say that everything's going to be a cakewalk, but I kind of expect a lot of the game to be fairly easy. Basically par for the course for a Pokemon game.
Next sentence. It's this next sentence.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
You can experience a new style of adventure with a world that you are free to explore at your leisure and not in an order dictated by the story. Yep. So basically here, there's still a story. Story's still happening. But you're not limited to the story in your exploration. They are saying you're going to be able to do things in your own way, at your own pace, in your own order. You're not limited by the story. And basically, people are interpreting this to mean, yo, we're going to be doing gyms out of order, aren't we? And I think absolutely yes, we are.
It has to be. Like, you can't, I feel like you can't do a fully open world Pokemon game and then just be like, you can go explore the other 7 gym locations, but you can't really do much there until you do this one first. It's like, what? That wouldn't make any sense. That'd be ridiculous. Plus, it doesn't even fit within, like, the world of Pokemon, because in the actual, like, universe of Pokemon, there's not, like, a set gym order, is there?
Like in the lore?
Yeah, in the lore.
So, I mean, in terms, most of the time, there are some exceptions. There are some games where you can do a gym or 2 out of order, but for the most part, in the games, you have to do them in a set order. But within the lore, there isn't any inherent rule of which gym you should do first.
Exactly.
Right? It's like in the anime, which isn't necessarily tied to the video games in terms of like strict rules and lore and stuff, but gyms happen out of order with other characters. When you're interacting with other characters, there isn't necessarily an order.
Yeah. In the Pokemon lore, I assume you would just do whichever gym is closest to you first.
Right, pretty much. Now, unless the gym's like, hey, well, I'm not going to value to have more gyms because I'm just a cool like that. Like, there maybe some could do that, but I think for the most part, no. Now, what I've always sort of, like a headcanon thing, right, is that, well, certain gym leaders seem to take it easy or harder. Like why is it the fact that the gym leader seems to always be at the level of Ash when he faces them in the anime? The only way it can make logical sense is that based off how many gyms you have in your progression to get to the Pokemon League, that kind of puts you in a tier, and that's the tier the gym leader decides to fight at, right? So, and that system, that headcanon I had, that allowed for the world to actually make sense in my head, is basically how they'll have to handle it in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, you have 2 badges? Okay, that's it. I'm going to use my tier 3 team for this battle, right? Tier 1 being 0 badges, tier 2 being 1 badge, right? And then tier 3 being 2 badges. So that's how I think they have to handle it.
I liked how you were describing earlier, where there's actually like differences in the Pokemon themselves. If you have more badges, like some of them could be evolved.
Right, like so say if you're doing say if you're doing the grass gym, right? And they have, I don't know, let's say a Vileplume. The Vileplume will not be there if it's your first badge, but it might be there if it's your 4th or 5th badge. Right? Instead you might just fight a Gloom or a Bellsprout.
The difference between like 1 badge and 7 badges could be like an entirely different team. Would be nice.
Yeah, I think it would be more of like a mature version of the team, right? But if there's also like straight up just some Pokemon variations, right? Like maybe there's some Pokemon that just wouldn't make sense for badge 8, but some others would. That would be interesting. Well, I mean, the other thing is that like there probably will be more Pokemon actually in the party of the gym leader too. You know, if it's a higher badge, it's not just straight up higher level and more evolved, but also more Pokemon.
Give me a full team. Give me a full team of 6 if I got 7 badges, bro.
And what's also cool about that though is that also means that each gym leader is gonna have a fully realized team as well. And like a fully realized full-on team. And what's cool about this is they kind of already had this concept in mind in Sword and Shield, because you could re-battle a lot of the gym leaders, or pretty much all of them, in the special tournament late in the post-game. So, yeah, you could fight different...
Post-game could definitely be fighting, like, the max version of them again.
Right, exactly. Like, oh, okay, the gym leader is going to actually participate in this tournament where it's their full-on team. So even if you can't face every gym leader at their full strength in your initial campaign, you will be able to do so in a special post-game tournament, similar to how they handled it in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it basically did it before, so I don't see why they can't do it again. Especially because this time they pretty much have to program and design in different versions of the team because of the world structure.
Yeah.
But because of that, by the way, I also think that greatly diminishes the chances of there being 18 gyms. Because that means not only do you have to make 18 gyms, you have to make 8 to 9 variations of each gym. That's just not reasonable.
If you get 18 gyms, which some gyms not giving you badges, or are there 18 badges?
Yeah, why do you only get 8 badges and just have like 10 just there, like space you don't actually do? So I think there's gonna be just 8 gyms probably. Maybe there's some
10 since it's a big open world. Maybe they'll have 10.
Oh well, maybe
collect just 8.
Maybe that's a possibility that maybe they collect more than 8 badges. But I think basically, however many badges you need, that's how many badges there's going to be to get. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a situation where there's extra lying around. Now there may be some gyms that are different in Scarlet versus Violet the way they were in Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Because there were 2 different gyms that were different in each version of Sword and Shield. Right. So they might do that again.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool.
But continuing on the description here, you will of course journey to hone your skills as a Pokemon trainer, but many more discoveries and stories await you. Meet a variety of people and Pokemon and adventure in the world of Pokemon the way you want to. So when I read that, there's not anything like groundbreaking there necessarily, but it makes you think of all the different towns we noted in our breakdown notes. We noticed like 5 or 6 different towns, and they aren't necessarily associated with a gym. They might be, we don't know. But it just kind of makes you think, okay, well, if we don't even have the Pokemon centers in there, what are in these different towns? Maybe there's a bit more of a focus on actual side questing and adventures and things of that nature. And it's kind of exciting because actually in Legends Arceus, I think may have had the best side quests I've seen in a Pokemon game. It was really cool because some things you would do would actually affect the environment you were in. Like all of a sudden that Pokemon would be kind of roaming around then. And some characters like sort of would develop as you would do certain side quests. So it would be nice if they kind of continue on that direction with Scarlet and Violet. Now the big difference though is that in Arceus, it's just one town. There are smaller other towns like hidden in Legends Arceus, but there's basically one main town. Yeah. Where most of the side quests come from. Scarlet and Violet's not going to be like that. So it may be less side quest dense per area, but there probably will still be overall more side quests to do. I just hope that they take some cues from Legends Arceus and perhaps expand upon that a little bit more. Because if this is an open world game, typically you want to fill up your open world game with different things to do. Side questing has already been an option in Pokemon games already, but I think they could take it to another level with Scarlet and Violet. Moving on here though, there's some more cool images. Alright, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about multiplayer. A deeper experience with multiplayer gameplay. Scarlet and Violet allow multiplayer gameplay with up to 4 players. Along with these series staples such as trading and battling Pokemon, you will be able to explore various locations of the region in these games with other players. You can discover new Pokemon and explore unfamiliar areas with your friends and family, opening the door to an adventure more precious and fun than ever. So they don't really give us much here. Kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. One would think that there'd be certain advantages to exploring around together as opposed to just literally being right next to each other and nothing more. We've seen advantages of playing games together in previous Pokemon games. I think they're going to continue on with that, such as in Sword and Shield with the raid battles. You could team up with with other players and you fight these giant powerful Pokemon, and it's better to do it together. Or for example, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, when you explore the underground, there's advantages to exploring the underground together. You have a better chance of collecting treasure. So maybe
I'm sure there will be stuff like that.
I hope so.
I have a feeling that their main draw for multiplayer is just you can literally play like most of the game with your friends. Go explore the whole open world with your friends. Because, I mean, like the way they describe it, the way we've seen in the trailer, everything, it seems like literally the whole map is explorable with your friends.
Now,
So
what
I
would
feel
be
like the main
super
draw is
interesting,
running
though,
around.
what would be super interesting, though, is if you could be your friend's rival in the game. So imagine you both are playing the game together, and it's kind of like a race to see who gets more badges first. And when you go to a gym, it might say, "Oh, who's gotten the badge?" Because I don't know how many. Brand, I know you're not as much of a Pokemon fan as I have, so you haven't played them nearly as much. But in previous Pokemon games, in the main story, when you beat a gym, oftentimes you can read the sign at the front of the gym, and it'll say who's beaten the gym already. So imagine when you're playing with your friends, whenever you go to a gym, it says if your friend is beating the gym already. It's like they're actually part of the world and story.
Yeah.
That would be cool. And
just hook it up to your friends list.
Yeah, and I mean, it just kind of updates based off, you know, who's playing with you. But it would be a nice little touch. And I wonder how far they could go with this, right? Like, can you do gyms together? You alluded to this earlier. Like, what if, like, if you join with your friend, does that become a double battle? I don't know. Then, since you can play up to 4 people, does that mean there could be quad battles? That'd be nuts.
That would be crazy.
It would be nuts. I mean, yeah, I don't know, 4v4, that'd be crazy. We've seen 4v1 versus bosses, so I don't know. Maybe they limit that. It'll be there's different things they could potentially do. And continuing on with this train of thought, though, if it is the case that throughout the experience, the game world will sort of acknowledge the existence of your friends, of their progression alongside your own, what if when you get to the Elite Four, they could also be competing alongside of you? What if there's a tournament and they're also part of that tournament? What if you could be the champion against your teammate? My opinion is that the main game will not be impacted by your friends necessarily. Like, little things.
That, yeah.
But
like the main story missions, you probably can't do with your friends.
But perhaps in the post game, there can be a post game tournament where your friends could be involved.
Oh yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah. So just some ideas right there. At the very least, some acknowledgement of your friend's existence within the overworld might be a really cool little touch, so they can feel like a legitimate rival within the world as you progress. That'd be nice to see. Very nice to see. And if they have like an end game tournament that can be involved with anyone playing along with computers, that'd be cool. So I think we covered this page, which is kind of the most important page. I did say I didn't want to go into too much detail on the Pokemon just because, in the interest of time, they don't even tell us much about Korean Meat Island, just that their names, that they're cool. Like, it doesn't say anything crazy. It's just, oh, they're cool, they're shrouded in mystery. Then with the other two, the starters, it does show more new Pokemon. Palmy, Lechonk, Smoliv, Electric. I think this is normal. I think Lechonk is normal. Yeah, it's just normal. It has Gluttony as an ability. There's nothing. They have cool little descriptions, but again, time. I don't want to waste too much on for this. There, and then for the characters, I think we pretty much touched on the important aspects here. It's a good look at the house. Good looks there. Yeah, Sada and Turo, we already went over this. They have Nemona. She helps you guide, and she's good at battling, but apparently she's not good at throwing Pokeballs. And that's kind of pretty much it. I don't think there's really much more to touch on with this. So I think we can go back to the show, the podcast here. And I mean, that's pretty much, yeah, that's it from so far. Like, obviously I summed up some things, but I think we've reached the conclusion of our sort of breakdown. Any sort of like final takeaways on that, Brandon?
It just looks cool. I don't know. I'm excited. I think the biggest thing that excited me is the fact that it's, well, I think it's two things. It's open world and it has online multiplayer. Because Sword and Shield had online, but it was like only in the one specific area. It's very limited what you could do. And the wild area isn't really, like, you can explore the wild area, but it's not really like a huge, intricate place to explore with your friends. And that's kind of what I like to do in games, is explore and be able to do that online with my friends. That's what I want to do. So we gotta, maybe I'll pick up Violet. You wanted to pick up Scarlet, I'll get Violet and we'll play online.
Yeah, we will do that. So I'm gonna just check in a couple chats here. So Elemental Hero Anatomy. Reason I'm asking was the last part of the trailer with Pokeball. I wondered with those Pokemon I mentioned, with their abilities, could we see them all in the new games to tie in? I mean, I understand what you're saying because they all have abilities related to space time. I mean, the fact of the matter is, to your very point, bringing up several Pokemon that can impact space time. There's so many Pokemon that can do that. I don't think we need all of them. So they may still be linked, but I don't think they're all tied to the story. Because you don't. There's too many Pokemon that can impact it.
Brother's Pokemon can change space time.
Yeah, and it may not even be the Pokemon themselves that impact the space time this time around. I have a feeling it might be people, and Pokemon are just caught in the middle of it. You know, hence this, evil team manipulating Pokemon for their own benefit. That's yeah. Which, I saw a meme suggesting that the professors could be evil. I don't think they are, but that would be an interesting plot twist, right? And so, maybe one wants to bring back the past, one wants to bring in the future.
Either way.
I don't know. Elemental here also added me again and said, could we see a third legendary Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet? I was thinking about this earlier. So you have Koredan of the past, Miraidon of the future. What would be the third version?
Pokemon of the present.
Of the present. The most present Pokemon ever. What is this present Pokemon?
He is so present.
I'll tell you this, I bet it'll be greenish. Some sort of green-like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Emerald. Not to mention Nemona has those green bangs. Maybe there'll be like a post-game story with Nemona where you're trying to deal with this third Pokemon that's in the present. So I think there's something to that for sure. Giancarlo, past, future, and present. This will represent the legendary trio of Gen 9. Yep. We're on the same page, guys. For sure. Charles Rajal, I'm really curious if there's more stuff in this world. That's where open worlds live or die. I mean, the advantage of Pokemon, though, is that there are so many Pokemon that for example, you look at Legends Arceus, there's Pokemon all throughout to explore, and there's items to explore that kind of stacks on top of that, where you're finding items. And then they even have like there's a couple things you can explore. You can find Unknown, you can find the Spiritomb, like little embers. These little spirit flames. They're basically Korok seed replacements, right? And then, actually they had that in Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield as well. There's like these items you could explore throughout the world. They can do that again. So all these little things can help, but then also bringing in more characters and side quests that helps. Playing with your friends, that offers more as well. So these are all things they can do. I think definitely there's tons of material they can pull from to have that content. It really comes down to them having the content and executing. But based off what they did with Legends Arceus, I'm not too concerned. I think they're going to do fine. Legends Arceus, I think, was actually pretty good. And I expect Scarlet and Violet to be on another level. So, not too worried about it.
Yeah. I always find it odd when people see, and it's not just Pokemon, it's other open world games too, they'll see like panning shots of the world and be like, it's completely empty, and I'm like, there's things load in like at distance. They don't have to show everything in every shot. I don't understand, because I feel like people could say the same thing about many of the shots of Breath of the Wild. If you look at tons of the trailers, Breath of the Wild, it's not really anything happening in the shots. It's just open areas that look pretty much empty. But when you play Breath of the Wild, I don't think anybody would really say Breath of the Wild's world is empty, right? I feel like it's just a common thing. When people see trailers for open world games, they just see open areas that aren't absolutely crammed to the max with things, and then just assume the game's gonna be empty. I don't know if the game's gonna be empty or not. The game hasn't released. I'll judge it when it comes out, or when we know the information.
Yeah, they're not gonna reveal everything at first.
Come off the rip and just be like, it's completely empty. There's nothing to do. This is garbage.
Remember with Sword and Shield how when they first showed off the game, and we were like, what if the game has some open areas? And people were like, no, you're crazy. And we're like, well, what if like you're just hiding it intentionally? No, why would they do that? That would be stupid. And then what happened? They were hiding open areas. So
they were hiding open areas. They were hiding
roaming Pokemon
in the overworld. Yeah, roaming Pokemon. Yeah.
They intentionally held elements of the game. So, and I think they're actually doing it again too. I'm not sure if they're like literally hiding things, like there's stuff just straight up not there, but that could be a part of it.
Right.
But like just simply think about how much they've told us so far. They haven't told us that much. They've told us enough, I think, but they haven't told us that much. Like, and I think they've actually been doing this. They've been doing a better job of this with most recent generations, where they tell us a little bit at a time. And because there's so much content in these games, like they could literally reveal one Pokemon one every 2 weeks, and that's kind of like, oh cool, there's a little bit more we learned about this world, a little bit about this game. It kind of keeps us interested, but by the time the game comes out, they've only really revealed like what 20-30 Pokemon tops, and there's still like maybe 50-60 more to show off that are hidden inside the game. So I think that's probably gonna be similar this time around as well. They're not gonna reveal too much, and that's just with Pokemon. There's still characters,
you gotta strike a
game
balance
mechanics,
with these things.
Yeah,
I
do think we'll learn more next week.
When I go into a game and I know everything about it, it was like the story for Breath of the Wild. It's not a bad story. There's nothing wrong with the story of Breath of the Wild. I would say it might have been presented better. But the problem is, like, when I going into Breath of the Wild, I knew, like, every major plot point of this story already. Because they'd shown us everything. And a lot of games just do that for different things. The story or the characters or different mechanics. And it's like, no, I want to be surprised. Like, I don't need to know everything about every game before it comes out to know if I'm going to get it or not. Like, let me find things. I love, as a kid, you don't follow all the trailers and everything. At least as a kid, I was a dumb kid. I didn't know anything about the internet. So all I saw for like trailers was stuff that came on TV. So I'd get a game and I'd just be like a world of new things I've never seen before. And I love that. And I feel like these days we have this strange need to know everything about a game before it comes out. And I don't want that. I want to know as little as possible while still knowing whether or not I want to buy the game.
For me, it's been like a roller coaster, right? So when I was young, I wanted as much information as I could get, but I never felt like Nintendo gave me enough, right? I'm talking about like back in the like early 2000s or like around that time. I mean, we had droughts. So like you just wanted to pick apart whatever information you would get from Nintendo when they would give it. So, that's kind of what you just needed to do when you're a fan like me. You would just overanalyze every little detail they would give you. But then,
it was during the Wii U era.
And then in this day and age, though, where there's so many games coming out, so much information coming out, and me being a more busy person, I obviously, for things like this, like, okay, I care, right? But if they start talking about, oh, well, if you trade this thing on such and such date, you can get this shiny evolution and this extra Pokeball. Like, I'm not going to start caring about little details like that, like events, right? I just care about learning about the core mechanics of the game. And, interesting things like Pokemon options, things like that. I don't really care for, like, the extra
I don't want to see
details.
every new Pokemon design that's in the game. I want to go and explore and find them on my own.
Yeah, with you there, for sure.
Especially in an open world Pokemon game.
Yeah, I mean,
where
for
the
Scarlet
Pokemon
and
are actually
Violet,
running around.
I'm looking forward to still getting more news on the game. Like every time they're gonna have an update, I'm still gonna talk about it and cover it, right? It's kind of like with Metroid Dread. We had those Dread reports every week or two, and that was exciting, right? I still learned more about the game, but I still felt like there's enough surprises when I finally got it. But that comes down to me trusting the company to appropriately advertise the game. And I think they did a good job with Metroid. I think they've been doing a good job with Pokemon. Typically what happens with Pokemon though is that there's a data mine right before it comes out, and then we learn everything. But you know, they try their best to avoid that. So, you know, cool stuff. But anyways, guys, I think we've pretty much reached the natural conclusion for tonight's discussion. I mean, to be frank, it was kind of a long one. We hit what?
Yeah.
Almost 3 hours. So I don't think we're cutting it short here. 2 times as long as I thought it would be. So yeah, that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could leave a like, that would also be appreciated. But we'll see y'all really soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.